I'm going to say that one more time because I forgot to hit recording on my end. So, hi everyone. My name is Quanisha Green, and I am the founder and CEO of Black Women CEO. This is our third RISE Honoree interview. So I apologize for getting tongue-tied just now.
But it's been a long day for you, Quanisha.
We're going to make it work. It's going to be great. And the kids are home on a snow day. If you're listening to the replay later. So we've had a great time. We had spirit moving. It's been good. So Dr. June, I know this is going to be hot. So we have Dr. June Christian. I was about to call you Rogers because that's what your Facebook name is. Dr. June Christian here as our RISE Honoree. And I will explain that in a moment. But let's all just say hi to Dr. June. Hi, Dr. June.
Hello, everyone. It's really wonderful to be with you all, and it's really great to be with you. Thank you, Quanisha, for this honor.
Well, thank you for letting me honor you and heeding the call. I'm always like, Dr. June, come on. She's like, wait. And we'll talk about her underestimating what she does but in a second. But just quickly, let me tell you who Black Women CEO is if you're new to our community. So Black Women CEO is a global hub dedicated to providing high impact and culturally relevant business programming for the highly educated and talented Black woman who's ready, right, to get known and to get paid well for what she does. And this month, we're celebrating Black History Month with a virtual summit called RISE, where we're really asking women to elevate their value and visibility because it's time for the world to know your name. And just quickly, you might be asking, okay, well, why do Black women need to rise? So on average in the United States, when we look at average gross revenues for, well, just businesses in general, Black women-owned businesses are averaging $27,753 when we look at, once again, those average gross receipts. And that's before taxes, right? And by race and gender, and then that intersection, we're in the lowest tier, right? And of course, you may be saying, well, there's macro issues like racism, bias, wage inequality. Yes, and all those things are important, but just as detrimental are the internal biases that can also get in our way. And over again, our RISE honorees, I encourage you to watch the replays and listen to them. They have all said that even when they have all the business knowledge and they gotten it, they still had to contend with themselves, right? They still had to contend with themselves. And so I'm all about, and Black Women CEO is all about helping you to empower yourself, right? So that you could have, you can say that self-efficacy, knowing that your own agency and having the skill sets that you would need to do well in business. So we help Black women to do the internal work so that then they can do the outer work that will help them get results. And then particularly this session is our RISE Honoree. I wanted to honor some of our Black women CEO alumni who really exemplify both the vision and the mission of our work. These are ladies who have done that deep self-introspective work, right? Who've been in the trenches with their own stuff. They have really made a concerted effort and dedicated themselves to both that internal work, but also getting out there and sharing their expertise, enduring through it all, right? Being resourceful, investing in themselves. And as a result, they've seen the revenue and the monetary reward. So one thing I did ask them is, can we share some numbers? So they are willing to do that, and they have done that today. So that's a little bit about RISE. So once again, I'm actually going to say hi to Dr. June and just thank Dr. June for letting us honor her. So hey, Dr. June.
Hey, Quanisha. Thank you.
You're so welcome. So I'm going to quickly share who Dr. June is to me. As you all know, I always love the intro because in kind of the questions that we're going to answer, because it's interview style, she's going to share more about what she do and who she be, right? We always say who you be. But quickly, I just want to do some housekeeping. So this is being streamed to Facebook and probably some other channels. And we're happy that you're watching us. But if you want to participate actually in the community, in the RISE community, you want to hit the link that's in the description, because that's going to take you to the registration page. So when we have the live Q&A, and we're also doing a giveaway, but you have to be live in the classroom to get it, right? A giveaway, and the giveaway is a 20-minute power session with me. So a laser coaching session with me, and we'll be giving that away to someone who's live here by the time that we get to the live Q&A, right? And people have been winning them. So throw in your hat with a chance to win. And then once again, if you want to ask your question, you got to come in here. We're not going to search all over the internet for questions. So there is a Q&A box. So I encourage you all to write your question down, even though we want you interacting in the chat. As we go along, let us know what's resonating with you. What are your takeaways? But if you post a question there, we might not catch it. So, write it down. And then when it's time for the Q&A, you can just transfer it to the Q&A and we'll make sure that we catch it. Also, you can also raise your hand and come on live. And that's another way that you can ask your question, right? So now that we're going to take a deep breath, now that the announcements are done, let me tell you, Dr. June is to me. So I'm trying to remember how, I think someone referred you, someone who I've coached through another community. I was a business coach in another community. She worked with me, and I remember she recommended you to me. And then I loved our first call because we really connected and you just knew. You're like, this is my next step. This is where I'm going to go. And then we started working together. And there was a lot of internal things that we had to work through. But here's the cool thing about Dr. June. She did the work, right? And even when I recommended, she kind of seek some other services to even support her with the inner work. She did that, right? And we got to some really deep places. And then when she kind of was like, I'm healed, I touched on it, I got some resources to help me move forward. Within a week of sending a launch email to her personal network, she got offered a $25K contract opportunity, right? So just imagine sending out one email to maybe it was 100 something people that and then someone's like, oh, that's what you're doing. We've been waiting for someone to work with us on that. And then the contract, because of the budget was I think she'll tell you maybe what the final number was. But just imagine someone saying, hey, we're bidding for this. We want you to be a subcontractor. Here's how much we plan to pay if everything goes straight. Mm-hmm. Right. So that's the power of doing that internal work, getting your signature program together. And, Dr. June probably would talk about, there was some iterations of that too. She was like, wait, I want to do this. I want to do this. But no, I'm going to come back to this. Yep. Her global solution strategist. So yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed working with Dr. June, and we're friends. We're friends, we're sorors, right? All that stuff. So I'm so happy to kind of bring her here so that she can share, and once again, all of our RISE honorees, one thing we heavily practice here in Black Women CEO is transparency and vulnerability as strength. So one, I'm so honored that you all are willing to tell your story and right some of that inner stuff that we kind of keep to ourselves in private sessions, right? So that the women here can also learn and also see what's the result of that, what's tangibly possible, when they do these things. And so just one more note for those of you who are new. One of the reasons why I wanted to do the RISE Honoree is that we had a number of experts that come, but many of them have been in business for 5 years, 10 years. And so sometimes, of course, we learn from what they're teaching us, but sometimes we can't necessarily see ourselves in their shoes because we're like, oh, well, she's been doing this for this long and she has a logo and all these headshots, right? And it gets overwhelming. So one of the reasons why I wanted to come and share these honorees is because these sisters have been in business maybe 2 years, 3 years, 1 year, right? And so they are where you can be just a year or two from now, right? So this is still very new to them, and they kind of are entrepreneurs, are CEOs on the rise, right? So it's more tangible that way, so that you can see some of the results that they have gotten are accessible, right, and tangible for you. So I just wanted to make sure we said that. Okay, so now that that's done, so Dr. June, we're going to start with who you be. Can you describe yourself beyond what you do? Because we're going to get into that next.
Sure. So I am a sister, a daughter. I was adopted by a wonderful dog named Zen. I am also a caregiver, which is a big deal in terms of shaping my identity and where I am right now in my life and why this business is what it is. For me, right now, I am a healer, a sister friend, a visionary, and I work on my liberation and freedom every day. And I am living my best life authentically.
Living my best life. Mm-hmm. I love that that you're growing in every day. So with that, now that we know who you be, and thank you for sharing all those different facets of yourself, can you tell us more about your mission and the work that you do?
Sure. So what I do is I help people challenge bias in ways that allow them to show up authentically and also to heal. So I help them challenge biases that prevent us from showing up authentically. And I do that with systems, organizations, and individuals. And I guess probably the easiest way to say it is I identify systems biases, and I help schools, organizations, and communities institute policies and protocols that allow every person to show up fully and to be more productive, more innovative, and to bring in more profits, or in the case of schools, really increase academic success.
So transformation, y'all, all around transformation. So what is your area of expertise? I know you kind of just said what you did, but if you were to drill it down, but why do you think it's so important? And let's just start there, and then we'll go into like kind of the role of CEO after that.
Sure. So the way that people would describe, I think that would spark for most people would be, I do diversity, equity, and inclusion work. However, I think I'm a trained researcher in the qualitative methods, and I have extensive experience in education, and then also working in diversity, equity, and inclusion. But I think what I do is different insofar as I'm a firm believer that if you are looking for problems, you will find them. And there's a different energy when you're looking for problems and when you're seeking to solve them or to provide a solution for a problem. And so you definitely need both. But I think in diversity, equity, and inclusion right now, we're talking about problems. People spend a lot of time talking about problems and the logistics of problems and, how this works. But when you look on Facebook and you see those clips of bigots or whomever spouting off at the mouth, there's logic isn't going to combat that. It's not going to interrupt. You can't go up to them and say, well, I think what's going on with you right now is that your amygdala is That's not going to work.
They're like, no, that's not going to
No. So then how do we provide people with strategy, skills, tips, tools, techniques, protocols, programs, and policies that enable them to have very real conversations that create communities that are safe and productive? So that's my niche. And I think it's important because we do need answers. And if we're not looking at answers, we're always looking at problems, then we're never going to evolve, because we're constantly seeking what's wrong instead of saying, okay, how can we fix this? What's the long-term fix?
And I love that solutionist aspect even of how you describe yourself, because you say, you're like, okay, yes, these things exist. We've explored them, but how are we going to fix them? And the other part of you, even how you look at diversity and inclusion, right? Maybe you can just talk about that really fast, because I know you always say, this ain't your regular old diversity training.
No, it's not. So what we do oftentimes when we talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, it's a workshop. So we're going to go to this workshop. It can be an hour long, a half a day long, sometimes longer than that. And we sit and we have these logical conversations. And I think that it's important to know how the brain works and how we are processing bias, because it's a natural response. It's a visceral response. It's biological. But at the end of the day, like I said, you're not going to interrupt a visceral response with logic. And so what we need in the moment are people who are going to not be bystanders, but be upstanders. So how do you prepare people to interrupt? And what does that interruption look like? And it has to be genuine and it has to be authentic. I'm not saying that we need to put ourselves in harm's way. I'm not going up to the bigot at the stop and go to interrupt him when he's getting his gas. That's not what I'm advocating. But when it comes to productivity and innovation and profits, and also creating environments where students can show up and be themselves, and they can honor themselves and honor other people, that's valuable, that's necessary. And so what do we do to ensure that these spaces are safe? How do we enter into conflict? How do we communicate through conflict? And how can we come out better on the other side?
I love it. So the reason why I wanted her to go deeper in everyone, one, all the RISE honorees are in such different businesses, right? In different industries. So, I want to pull that out, that even if you want to work with organizations and you can say city offices, right, and regions, or if you want to work one-on-one with individuals, right? And even that, like, Kim Davis works in spirituality, right? Dr. Marvette works in dissertations, people who are in graduate programs. And then we have Dr. June, who's like organizational, right? Hers is more like that meso level, sometimes that macro level of work. So, you can come in with the unique expertise that you have and stand firmly in what you want to do. And particularly, I love what Dr. June does, and this is kind of what we hone in, is like, what is your take on the issue, right? What is your take for what you think needs to be done? And so that's why I wanted her to go in, so that one, we can all learn from it, right? And if you need some help, go hire Dr. June. Organization or your school district or whatever, call Dr. June, right? But you can see that it's a whole different take even on the topic of diversity and inclusion. So with that, I want to ask this question first before I go into how you came to own your role as a CEO. What made you even decide to start a business? Because you were actually working for an organization doing some of this work.
Sure. It's interesting because when I contacted you, Quanisha, I think I was talking about, we could meet every other week, maybe every 3 weeks, because I have this plan and I'm going to spread it out over a year, maybe 2 years, and slowly roll into this. And then I found out that my mother was ill. And it was like, oh, okay. So my choice now is to stay in my job or to move home. And I'm quite fortunate to be able to move home. But that fast forwarded my need to get the business up and running, because I have bills and bills are real, and I can't, pay my bills with sentiment. So
bills don't quite work that way.
Not at all.
Right. Like that don't work that way. Okay, I didn't know if you have more. So really, it was this life event, right? Like you said, you're like, I kind of working on it. We'll be done like in a year or two. We'll work long term. Right. Well, like short term, but long term.
Right. Exactly.
Many of us, right? There can be a life event. I always find that 2 life events often, like, you have a child and then you're like, I want to stay home with my kid. How can I not have to go to work? Because I think people sometimes don't realize, like, wow, that 6 weeks is not enough. Or I find also a lot of people, there is a caretaker role. Sometimes it's our parents or someone else, when you're like, I need the flexibility to help my relative, right? To help my loved one. And I always see, of course, if there's a layoff or something, like that's also a catalyst, but usually it's those 2 catalysts that often have women saying, I almost when it's a need to do it, right? And then some of us, of course, have the desire as a dream to, like, I want to live and be on my own. But when kind of like that back is against the wall and it's that big decision of like, I need the flexibility that sometimes the actual, your 9 to 5 or whatever the traditional job will allow you to have. So one, thank you for sharing that was going on, because I'm pretty sure there may be women here, right, who can resonate with that and maybe even be in that situation right now themselves and see what's possible. So now we know why you started your business, right? But how did you even feel about entrepreneurship this before working with me? Like, how did you feel about putting yourself out there to promote yourself, requesting compensation for the work that you wanted to do?
I didn't feel like I had a network. And so I have quite a bit of education, right? So I had, developed my expertise, but I didn't have a network. And so what I wanted was training around building this network and how to create presence. And I wanted to do this over time so that, I could have, the business that I envisioned. I could make that happen. I'm probably more of a control freak than I want to admit. But I had the expertise, but then it was like, okay, but I need to feel safer. And I think for a moment when we first started, I talked about going to get additional education. And please understand, it's not my desire I'm not bragging, but I have as many degrees as I need. I don't need to go and get anything else. And so it was, I think, really pushing things outside of me, looking for something that was outside of me rather than really having to face and deal with what was inside. So I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I was creating hurdles and roadblocks to prevent me from actually seeing myself as such and acting in a way, even if it was imperfect.
And that's a common challenge. And let me know, just type enough, right? You could put not good enough, not enough, right? If you think you need more education, or you don't have enough education, enough credentials, or you're not pretty enough, you're not smart enough, you're not glamorous enough. I don't know if that's a word, but that glam look, or you don't carry the, the red bottoms and the Louis bags. And so I can't do well in business, right? There's all these different ways that this not good enough thing comes up. And like Dr. June said, not only did she have all these degrees, she's written a book, she's been doing this work for a number of years. And it was like almost putting a mirror up of saying like, no, you don't need to go get another certification. Like, you are already doing this to get paid. Now let's do it with your spin on it. And you were like, I don't know, right? And it was like, no, you can do it, right? So I want to say some of my role is helping you all to remember who you are. And sometimes it starts with helping you to see who you are, right? I actually had someone message me, one of the interviewees, I won't say who, and she was like, as I was talking and you were talking about me, I was like, who's she talking about, right? And so still, even some of these ladies, 2 or 3 years, and I did that recently, right? I had someone supporting me with writing the new program description. I was like, who that lady doing all that stuff? And I was like, are you sure this is me?
It's so funny, Quanisha, because you were like, Dr. June has written a book. And I was like, oh, yeah, I have. Like, things that don't stay front of mind.
Like, we think we're bragging if we talk about it. So once again, let me know in the chat in the comments if you think by just sharing some of your successes and your accolades would be bragging instead of letting people know that, like, nah, I know what I'm talking about. This is why you should hire me, right? Right? Those, I'm like, if y'all think I'm bragging, I don't care, but it hopes you to know that I can do what I do, right? Right. So with that, because I think this would be a good segue. So what were some of those early challenges? And then we could talk about how you overcame them, but what were some of those early struggles for you when it came to entrepreneurship?
I think, ultimately I was my biggest challenge. I was my biggest obstacle. So it was thinking that I wasn't good enough, that I needed something outside of me. What if I am successful? I remember having conversations with you, Quanisha, and I was like, well, what happens if I get this overwhelming response? And you were like, so you send them an email. And it was like, oh, or what if I don't get a response at all? And it's like, you keep trying until you get it, like you tweak and you retweak and you do what you need to do in order to get where it is that you're going. I think I'm probably maybe skipping ahead, but there's a beauty and a joy, I think, that comes with recognizing that you are enough and that you'll run out of excuses at some point. So either you're going to do it or you're not. And I remember that was one of the conversations that we had. You were like, so you need to decide if you're going to do this or not. And I was like, oh.
That's your girl. She was like, no, she did. Wait, I need a minute. Because I remember that day. And we're on video. She was just looking at me like, I know she did not. I was like, let's talk about how you're feeling. You're like, I want to talk about it. Like,
and that was true.
Today, I'm not sisterly right now. Oh, okay. Yeah, like Kim said, I told y'all. I see how she do. Because Kim was talking about that too. Like, Quanisha will come like, let me check in on you. And she's like, but what you're really saying is, what revenue generating activities did you do today?
Right. And what is it, Quanisha? You have to remind me, because I tried to get as far away from this phrase as like a hobby.
If you're not generating revenue in your business, it's an expensive hobby.
It's an expensive hobby. And I was like, ooh. It's unsettling, because if you're not making money in your business, then it is a hobby. And it's interesting because it registers. Like, I'm a logical person, like that registers with me. But when it comes to the actual day in, day out activities that need to be done in order to generate revenue, there's still a disconnect between what I see and what I want to happen and where I have to be mentally in order to make that occur.
I just want to just sit with that, right? And put resonate in the chat if you're like, yeah, I get that. Right. Because I think so many of us, I've struggled with it too. But I don't have to like act despite myself. But early on, it was a lot of internal work and that self-worth, like we talked about, not feeling good enough, not thinking, and does anyone care what I have to say? Am I speaking to a void out there? So with that, how did you overcome, right? How did you overcome some of these challenges?
I think it's really about either you want it or you don't, right? And so for me, the affirmations that we started with were helpful, but I really had to figure out what was going on in me. So really getting to the point where it's like, even if no one responds, even if everybody responds all at once, I've got to take a step to see what's going to happen. Because if I don't, then what's the point? Like I'm still just working in a hobby. And so it was really taking, and it felt like baby steps. So I remember when we first had our conversation, you were like, send an email to your email list. And I was like, because I was afraid, like, what are people going to think about me? What are they going to think? Like, oh, she doesn't need to start a business. She's not good at what, I mean, and this is my mental machination. Like, this is the stuff that's holding me back. And then I remember thinking to myself, I may not be able to send this email today, but what I can do is I can make something really cute on Canva and post it to social media. And not even an hour later, I was talking to people about, oh my goodness, here are some business opportunities. Like, and I was like, oh, wow. So realizing that, and that was huge for me. I think that, I don't know what would have happened if I hadn't received any responses, but I did. And it was like, that was the smallest of steps that I could take, that I could manage. And I got a response and it was positive. Oh, I can keep doing this.
Mm-hmm. So even that initial feedback, and y'all, she didn't just make a camera image like with a flower or something. Like she had Dr. June Christian Solutions, like her image,
open for business.
It was like open for business, and we hadn't talked about that. So I was like, what is this? Like, what? But the reaction, right? Because once again, if you are, because some of us think about like, what are other people? What are my friends and family? Let's be specific. Going to say, and someone said in the chat just now, I struggle with talking about my ventures, right? What is something like that? What will my family and friends say? Once again, this is like the third interview. Sorry, y'all.
You're doing well, Quanisha.
Like, even though we didn't discuss it, like, you being the smart, intelligent woman that you are, was like, let me at least do this, because sometimes fear and even courage, they're muscles. Mm-hmm. Right. So we have to practice kind of, you've heard the term, feel the fear and do it anyway. And then even that courage. Right. So you basically did a lift, right? You did one rep. Right. And I was getting it out. And I forgot how long after that you're like, Friday, Quanisha, I'm going to hit send. I remember that. And you were like, I'm going to send this email. And that email was once again to her network. Right?
That may have happened that Monday. I may have told you.
Yeah, it was. I think she was like, I'm going to do it Friday. So she was like, she gave herself some more days.
Because it's, and what's so interesting to me, at least for me in my experience, is that there are two people, and these are people who are random to my life, right? Like, they aren't people who otherwise would carry a lot of weight, but I revere them in terms of the diversity, equity, and inclusion work they do. And my biggest fear is that they would think, we wouldn't even have this conversation because we don't talk that way, right? But that they would think that I couldn't do it, or that I wasn't equipped to do it. And I made them the boogie monsters, that sat on my shoulders and that whispered, from the recesses of my brain that said, maybe you shouldn't send that email. Just try this, but I'm glad I tried the little pieces, because it was the little pieces that led to bigger steps.
Mm-hmm. So just how, we talk about sometimes you guys should start building up to that, revenue numbers too, right? It also works with sometimes the actions that we have to take to get it out. And of course, one of the counters that I hope you all is like, what does their opinion matter? Even if they did have a critique, this is about your vision, who you're going to help, and your gifts, right? Are not about you. It's about the people that you want to transform. So yeah, that's that practice. But once again, it could be those little things that are going to help you show up powerfully for your vision. And June's been able to do that. So can you talk a little bit around like how you came to really own this role that you are an expert and then also a CEO of your business?
So the expert was pretty easy, because I've probably done anywhere from about 500 to 1,000 presentations, from grad school into my career on these topics. So there was a sense of expertise that I came with, and that I was,
we froze.
Anywhere from 5.
We froze for a second. You said there was a certain level of expertise that you came with after the 500 and so
right. So that was easy, because that's what prompted me to contact you and to initiate working with you, because I knew that I wanted to move this into an entrepreneurial space. Mm-hmm. Now, owning the CEO piece, that's hard, because on the one hand, you got to do the work, but on the other hand, it's limitless. Mm-hmm. And so that limitless piece it messed with my mind, right? So I can make really wonderful choices, and I can do this, and I can do this, and I can do this. And I can do this and this and this and this and this and this. It can be overwhelming at times. And so what I've come to realize is that as I balance my role as caretaker and as CEO, everything that I'm doing in my life, and they bleed into each other, everything that I do in my life is by my own design. And so whatever results I receive, or that I reap, whatever consequences arise as a result of the actions or the decisions that I take or make, they're mine, and I can own them. And so I got over it. I got over being overwhelmed. And it's like, okay, well, let's try this. Mm-hmm. Let's try this. And if I hadn't done that first step, because I remember, Quanisha, we had a conversation, and I told you, I was like, that email feels scary. It feels scary. And you were like, well, what can you do? And when I did the thing that I could do, it became easier to do, to make subsequent steps. And so it went from baby steps to, some regular steps. I don't feel like I'm running in my business, but I also feel like it's just a matter of time. Because in my estimation, I'm doing well. My bills are paid. So,
yeah.
more
stuff. And so I just want to pull that out. And this is why I think having a sacred space, right? So whether we're creating that sacred space together or in a group, once again, when you can let your hair down, take off the strong Black woman mask and say, I'm afraid. Mm-hmm. Right? Or that scares the hell out of me. And then not to have someone berate you like, well, you need to learn how to do this because but it's like, okay, let's figure this out. Mm-hmm. Right? Let's take the baby step then, even though we know that the dream's up here. Let's get you there, right? Let's start to build the confidence, right? That you need to then do the bigger things that you're completely capable of, right?
Sure.
But that fear, right, fear stops you, right? It's fight, flight, or freeze. Like fear is a completely normal, healthy emotion, but it's a very strong emotion. It impacts that action. So once, for me to be in a place to recognize it and not, of course, berate anybody, because, I've had times with people like, you're afraid. And I was like, well, you a little punk. You need to get over that. We don't do that in our family. And I'm like, look, Okay. Like, can I be human? Not a strong Black woman right now. Can I just be human? And so that's why I think having these spaces, well, one, you can understand the root of it, where it's coming from, and also still be affirming and allow you to, move and have a place, like you said, to test it out. Let's see what happens, right? And then we can, dissect the results. So that's one thing I really loved about you, that one, you were transparent. There was a few times I had to pull it out, like, tell me what you're thinking. I see you shutting down. Tell me what you're thinking. And she was like, and one time you was like, I don't want it, but I'm going to do it anyway.
But it's such a visceral response, right? Because to be transparent, I am an expert. I know this stuff well. I know it like the back of my hand. There are times where I don't have to go, into extensive preparation anymore. Like, I'm like, okay, this, let's go, put a slideshow together, whatever. But you don't think that you're that person, because when you have this idea that you're going to be an entrepreneur, that you're going to be a CEO, that you're going to create your own business, you don't think, oh, well, I'm going to encounter this mind fog and hurdles and things that will prevent me. It's like, oh, well, when you say you're an entrepreneur, you are one. No, you're not until you get that first check. And it's not the commitment of the contract. It's a signed contract with a check.
With a deposit.
Right.
A deposit. I think that's so important. And this is almost a premise of the work that we do. And I mean, you all have experienced it even, well, I always explain the stuff behind, and then, we always walk through the exercise or whatever. But many of you are confident, right? Let me know, just like confident, if you are confident in your role as whatever your job is, or you've been confident because of your higher ed, right? Or if you got specialized training, like, so in your jobs, you've learned maybe how to work through those things to be confident, right? Or in school or whatever, right? Because I know you all top A, top of class, all the other stuff. But when it comes to entrepreneurship, you're like, where did the confidence go? You're like, I'm not like this.
Right.
Right. But why am I stuck? And so some of it is like, how do we transfer? That's how we have transferable skills, is transferring that confidence that you have built over to entrepreneurship. So once again, that's when I say it's about, I tell people I get paid very well to help you to remember who you are, right? To help you remember who you are so that you can bring all that confidence and expertise and that strength now over to the entrepreneurship. But I think when you call it a mental fog, I think that was such a great metaphor for what it is, because you don't even, like, one of my mentors says, business is one of the greatest personal development tools. And then I added, all your ish comes up when you start your own business. And so I think June is really, like she said, like, it's visceral responses. You're like, why am I doing this? Why can't I write my content marketing email? I've written thousands of words, but I can't write this 500 word 4-paragraph blog post about, I don't know, diversity today. Like,
right.
So it can be, so some of you may be experiencing that. Let me know, just put stuck in the chat if you've been stuck. And then people are saying, like, I don't always sell myself, or I've given away a lot for free. I struggle with talking about my venture. So the fear is debilitating, right? So a lot of people are resonating with what we're saying. So the other part is, so I know we talked about a lot about the struggles and where you were. How do you feel about, your business and entrepreneurship, like now, after working with me, after getting known for your expertise, after getting paid? I'm going to ask you to maybe share some fears, but, specifically, like, how do you feel about yourself now? What's your mindset in general as a result of having done this work and starting to get and have gotten results?
So I love music, and I love to quote songs. So the Carters come up, and in the song Nice, Jay-Z goes on this, tear, and he's like, I just might raise my price. That's where I am. Right? Great advice, Like,
this is all this in the video. So you heard to say, I just might raise my price. But
I am. And, that's what I'm starting to realize is that, it's such an interesting prospect, because you're worthy. You don't have to build worth. You're worthy. I am worthy. I don't have to build that worth. And so, when I'm, it's easy to to lowball yourself, because it's like, well, I don't know if I put myself out here, if anybody's really going to pay for the service that I provide. And now what I'm starting to understand is like, first of all, I get to pick and choose my services. And if this is something that requires a higher output, then you have to pay for that higher output, because it's taxing on me. And student loans don't pay themselves, and so I've worked this hard to get to where I am, and money isn't everything. And it's not, I don't equate it with my personal worth, if that makes sense. But there is a value that I bring to this space, and that value should be compensated. And so, I went from charging, talking to people, well, maybe I'll charge, $1,500 to $1,800 for one workshop, and that'll include all of the materials, the ancillary materials, and if there's travel, it'll include that. And, because I was so afraid that if I asked for the figure that made me feel, like I could walk into that room with these red glasses and give them what they needed, that they wouldn't. They'd be like, keep your red glasses and your stuff at home. Very much, but it was such, to be quite honest, in a recent training, our proposal to an organization, it's like, okay,
it was freezing.
What's your daily rate? Okay, what's your daily rate?
Okay, it was, let's wait till it settles. Okay, so you were saying in a contract just now, then someone asked you, what is your daily rate?
Right, and I'm like, $3,500 a day.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, okay, great. Can you send the contract over?
Okay, let's rewind. I want y'all to hear how easy that was. So, okay, I'm going to play the organization. So, Dr. June, what is your daily rate?
$3,500 a day. For $3,500 for up to 8 hours of training, and $2,800 for 4 hours, up to 4 hours of training.
Okay, great. Send us the contract.
Yeah. Oh, we'd actually like to bring you in for a full day. You send up with a contract, and I'm like, yes.
People are saying, what? Yes, right? So she's giving you some numbers here, right? And would you mind even telling us some other specific, maybe like monetary things that have resulted as a result of you doing this work, getting out there and really standing, like you said, not just in your expertise, that was like settled, but it was like, no, this CEO, right? Promoting yourself, asking for money for your work. And one of the reasons why, everyone, I'm asking this is that mindset breakthroughs are just important, right? All the inner work is important, but once again, we're doing this for business. And so I want them to share some of those, results so that you know what's possible, right, for you and your business. So go ahead, Dr. June, what are you willing to share with us?
So I think what's valuable is that I typically don't do day-long trainings. That's not my lane, so to speak. I do them because I think that they're important, but they're usually a part of a larger suite of offerings. So I'm talking about solutions, and typically when I talk about solutions, those are long-term things. So I think the lowest proposal or bid that I've put in for a project has been $7,500 over a 3-month span of time to $25,000 for over 6 months. Mm-hmm. That's fairly extensive. It's my signature offer, but it really is tailored to the company or to the school, to the organization. Mm-hmm. So I've had contract opportunities from $7,000 to $25,000, and so it's been.
And these are, when you say contract opportunities, these are things that were solidified. You were paid for at that range of $7,000 to $25,000.
Yes.
So I want you all. Let's all hold space for that. Dr. June does organizational work. Put organizational in the chat if you know that you want to do organizations, or maybe you want to do training for employees, right? So this is more the consultant, right? So Dr. June is in the consultancy space, right? But you've heard her say just now, she has closed, right, 7,000 to, you said 20 or 25,000? It was 25. To $25,000 in business. These are individual contracts, y'all. How would your life change with, say you got a $7,000 contract? How would your life really change if you got a $25,000 contract? And Dr. June, how long have you been actively in business?
A year and a month.
A year and a month. So 13 months. So she told you one was 7. She told you one was 25, and there's some more in between there.
There are.
And maybe you can tell us, how has your life changed, Dr. June, as a result of bringing in that revenue? I know you said you can pay the bills, right? So you're not homeless. You still got a cell phone. But what else has changed as a result of bringing that level of revenue in?
I think it puts me at ease. And so as a caregiver, in my role as the caregiver, it allows me to be more fully present with the people that I love, because I'm not worried about, how am I going to pay this bill? How am I going to keep this on? How am I going to move and do and be? And, how am I going to put gas in my car? Because when I left my job, and, I had been in that job for a year, so I didn't have a whole lot of savings, and what I had dwindled really quickly. And so this has been able to, it's interesting, I think, for me, and I don't know if it's different for someone who works with groups or with individuals, because, a no seems catastrophic at times, because it's like, whew. But those yeses, it's like, yes, I can celebrate in a bit of a different way. Like, okay, I can exhale, and then I can go on to the next thing, and I can be really intentional about what it is that I choose to do. These contracts have also allowed me to open up to working with schools at a reduced rate, because that this work is important for me, and it's important for students to have spaces where they can show up authentically, and they can be who they are, and they can learn to work together, so that they can be productive, contributing citizens. Because I know what it's like to be the one and the only in a classroom, and how spirit crushing, soul crushing at times that can be. And so what happens when we have adults who are trained to do that work? But not every school district, not every school has professional development funds that can afford a $25,000 contract for 4 to 6 months of work. So, it frees me up to do work that is necessary and inspiring to me for folks who really need it, at a rate that they can afford.
I'm once again almost tearing up. I don't know what it is about this whole turning 35 thing. My emotions are I don't know if it's hormones, but the reason why I'm tearing up is that in our strategy session now 13 months ago, right, a little over, Dr. June told me in 1 year where she wanted to be, and it is exactly where she is now.
Wow.
I don't know if you remember, right? You was like, I want to be out my job. I want to be working with organizations on a big level. I want to be working in schools. And you left the job first, right? Well, because of these circumstances.
Sure.
But I'm sitting here like, I wonder if she remembers this is what she said. And I didn't say, well, that's unattainable in a year. I was like, all right, let's make it happen. Let's get the plan in place. I'm never going to tell you your dream is unreal, because I don't know what, I would say God, right? But I know we all have different belief systems, but I don't know what the universe, God, higher power has in store for you, right? So maybe even if that wasn't my walk, that doesn't mean that can't be your walk, but I know the blocks that you need to have in place to then manifest whatever you want to do, right? And even there were times where I was like, you need more organizational support. I want you to go work with my mentor who does that, because, so it's like, I just want people to know, like, sometimes and that's why in the new community, we're bringing in experts every month, because I want to try to touch base. Because I know there's things that either I don't have the experience, expertise, or I have, someone how it works, but I know that this person, right, has da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So I would tell you, here, we can do this while it compliments this person over here, right? Or tell me what she tell you to do, and when you get stuck, let's work through it so I can tell you how to move forward. Because there's a lot of people who teach and do expertise, or mentors, but they don't do coaching, right, to help you get through the fear. So, there's a lot of things that complement. So, but I was just sitting here like, oh my God, like, you are exactly where you said you wanted to be. And I just wanted to, like, one, bring that to your attention. I was like, I don't know if June knows this. And then for me, like, I always tell you all, and maybe June can speak to this, and she can tell you if it's valid or not, that I'm so invested in your businesses. Mm-hmm. I'm so invested in y'all having this dream succeed. And everything that June just says, she's designing her life. She just said, I can design my life how I want. Right. And all the time I hear women say, I want to own my time. Many of you say, I want to work from home for various reasons. Right. I want to live on my own terms. I want to leave a legacy. I want financial freedom. Mm-hmm. And Dr. June, basically, you just went down and checked all that stuff off just now. And what you're saying was the impact. And are there more things you want to do? Sure. But you really have checked all those those boxes just now.
It's interesting because I think that's the other thing about growing into being a CEO is that you move in a different way. And so it's like, okay, I'm not where I want to be. I'm not where I want to be. And so that's what I'm pushing toward. And so, because of the way my life is set up, my push looks a little different than it would if I, wasn't at home and doing the things that I do at home and helping to support my family. But it's mind blowing to hear you say that, because I've done the things that I set out to do. Maybe not, it didn't look the way I thought it would, right. And it also doesn't feel the way I thought it would. Mm. Like there's a sense of calm and of like, oh yeah, I tasted that. That's there, but then there's also a piece of, but I have so much more I want to do. There's so much more, over there that I'm trying to get over there. And I want to, have this list of things that I'm not sure that I would have had otherwise. It just would have been like, oh, well, I want to do this thing. But now I've got a list of things that I want to accomplish. And, because I haven't accomplished those things, I'm there as opposed to, where I was in our first strategy session.
And y'all, this is completely unscripted. Like, I didn't know some of the stuff she's saying, right? And even though I do check in, like, I think the last check-in, you was like, yeah, I've had 3 12K contracts since the last time I talked to you. I was like, why didn't you message me? Right? Let me know. It's like, what? Like, what happened here? Sometimes June ignores my messages. I see the little face. I'm like, she didn't reply back. Right? And then all of our clients have been like, Quanisha will message you. I do. I want to know what's happening, even if we like officially stop doing private coaching or whatever. Because I know y'all like little birdies. Y'all get some support in, and you go in the world, and y'all doing it all. You're like the mom, like, can you come back and tell me like what's going on? So that's why I like in the DMs, like, hey girl, what's going on? Right. So, so that's just some background, right? But like, so the reason why I said this is completely unscripted, because I didn't know she was going to, share some of this, but part of my role too is helping you all to honor, right, the milestones that you hit. Because one thing about us overachievers, like, we'll do something magnificent. You're like, yeah, I got into Ivy League college, but anyway, I'm going now to be a McNair scholar. And it's like, wait, you know how heavy that is that you accomplished this? Like, all the time I remind Dr. June, she wrote a book, and she's like, oh yeah. And I'm like, that's a big deal. Like, you have like a 250-page book out there. Like, let's not, she don't even have it on her website, right? Like, so I'm always like, we need to like honor and celebrate this stuff. And I can say that because I had to learn that. My friend is always like, when are you celebrating yourself? I'm like, oh yeah. Cause I check boxes. I'm like, what's the next box to check? So right. So that's why I said you can honor where you are, celebrate it, that's why I wanted to bring the fact. I'm like, wait, you hit this target that, once again, you weren't even aware that you hit it. And of course, we can still want more, right? More growth and maybe more revenue, right? To do other things or bigger contracts, right? To challenge yourself. That's absolutely okay. But we also need to learn how to honor the small wins and then even the big wins and these milestones that we hit, because that's a way of honoring yourself too. That praise helps to also reinforce your confidence.
Sure.
Right? That self-praise, and we learn how to validate ourselves instead of working for external validation. So that was also me kind of pausing, like, Dr. June, let's praise yourself. Make sure we acknowledge what you've accomplished. So with that, I know we're kind of like at an hour now, but this has been a really good conversation. I just want to segue to some of the personal stuff. So how have you been able to integrate like work and business, life, self-care? I know you have a major caretaking responsibility, and I know we have some women here that are caretakers for, ailing parents or children, right? And that takes, almost a big part of their lives outside of their traditional work. So how have you been able to, like, I say integrate because balance, I think, is a myth, but how have you been able to integrate all that?
So one of the things that I love about the work that I do, and it also goes into being a CEO, right? So I'm putting together how the brain works. And so what I know from the research that I've done is that trauma and bias occupy the same neural pathways in the brain. But so does healing, right?
You said so does what? You said trauma and bias occupy the same neural frameworks. And what was the last thing? So does
healing.
So does healing.
Right? And so that's really the next phase of my work. And that's why I'm, I don't use the healing term lightly, because as I've said before, I've done lots of school, and part of that was massage therapy. I was a massage therapist, and it actually got me to grad school. But there's that healing piece, I think, is so vital. And so I'm not the best at it, but I'm starting to really galvanize my own healing processes and making sure that I put on my oxygen mask before I put on anybody else's oxygen mask. And it's actually the next step in the work that I do. So having these conversations about this trifecta. And so what are you going to do to bring in the wellness component? What are you going to do to help heal yourself? Desmond Tutu, there's the South African humanist philosophy, Ubuntu, and Archbishop Desmond Tutu and the Truth Reconciliation Project, or Truth Reconciliation Commission, when they were ending apartheid, defined Ubuntu as anytime you were hurt, harmed, or diminished, I'm hurt, harmed, and diminished. And it's a beautiful sentiment. And the thing that I would add, this is my corollary, which is also true, that anytime that you are well, affirmed, and healing, so am I. And so really positioning myself and focusing on my healing and moving through my work. I watched some of Dr. Marvette's interview earlier, her interaction with you, and listening to her talk about how she's moving and how she understands what it is that she's doing and how at peace she is with what it is that she does, even though that wasn't her initial calling, because I did that too. Oh my gosh, I can do everything. But finding that sense of peace, knowing what it is that you do, and also being able to direct your business in a way that grows with you. I mean, in my belief system, I'm blessed.
And so I'm just quickly writing into the chat. Please let us know what's resonating with you out of this, and because I'm feeling my feels. And and what are some of your takeaways? Because I know sometimes we're like in it, but I really want to know, so I can acknowledge it in the chat, because I think when we say kind of what's going on with other folks, it not so much we don't need validation, but I think it just validates the experience of that. And I love that. Let me make sure I'm pronouncing right. Ubuntu. And I read about it because you write about it extensively, like on your website. And as soon as you said that, I was like, I do that. Like, you know, it's almost like when you all are healing stuff, it's like I am, and then the reverse, like, you know, my healing and process, y'all like, oh yes, I'm feeling that. Like, it's almost like, it's like we're all in this like ecosystem, right? And codependent, but not in a bad way, right? But like that.
We're all intertwined, right? So when you think about it, right, the way that you know love isn't because you love yourself. The way that you know love is through relationship with other people. And you norm that love, the way that you love yourself, through how you are loved by other people and how you love them. And so, you know, it is the affirmation of our humanity. At the core of what I do, it really is about the affirmation of our humanity. And if you can't affirm my humanity, then you've diminished your own.
Mm-hmm. So, and as Black women, we have, at least in the United States, right, in this racial structure, we've been taught that we're not human, right? That we're less than animals. So when I say that our sense of self is influenced by history, culture, our own lived experiences, and the research shows that we can, many of us have an unhealthy sense of self. Even that strong Black woman image is not the healthiest image, right? I have a whole article about like, let's reframe what strength is. And I had to do that to be alive today, to reframe it, right? All that stuff we have taken in, right? And we've almost reaffirmed the negative stuff, right? So then to be in an environment that is affirming, but in a healthier way, right? We all get to thrive in that. And particularly the way we're doing it in entrepreneurship, we almost like feed off of that, right? When someone else shares a success story, or I share like, hey, this was going on over here, because I'll tell each other like, this is what she's doing. And y'all get motivated, like, really? Right? And it's not competition. It's like, wow, I didn't know that was possible, right? Or I'm so happy for you and your success. And really helping also the women, you all to see each other's strengths, like, because you've made accountability partners from other members, right? And y'all started, you know, supporting one another outside of like our formal coaching. So, you know, that sisterhood that even you can create because you know someone's kind of understanding your walk, you sometimes learning the same things, sometimes having the same struggle, and everything's not about the coach, right? It's like, let's talk to each other. So can you talk a little bit about that? Because I feel like part of that integrating, right, was you getting an accountability partner too.
Yeah, so I shout out to Melissa. But you know, I don't know where I would have been without that relationship. I just don't. I mean, clearly I would have been further along in my journey because I had Quanisha. But that accountability piece, right? Because the way that I speak to you is different because I feel like you've attained a level of success that I haven't. And so it doesn't prevent me from telling the truth. It doesn't prevent me from being vulnerable with you. But when I have somebody who's walking lockstep with me, it makes all the difference in the world. So then not only that accountability piece is key, but it's also the idea, like, am I crazy? You know, and to hear, you know, I'm going to be very upfront, right? Like when you are in a relationship with someone and there's a financial exchange, it's like, well, maybe you're saying this because there's a financial exchange between what we've done here. And but when you have someone that's echoing and it's like, oh, Quanisha's not just saying that to me. Like, this is real. Like, it helped to confirm.
I'm not just buttering you up because you paid me.
Yeah.
You have to say good things about me. I'm like, no, I don't.
No, you don't. No, you don't. I told you when you were like, do
like,
you
want
this?
You want to do that. And then it's like, oh, well, my friend said it too. And I respect her opinion.
And, you know, we met very regularly on Wednesdays. And I really looked forward to that time because it was like, okay, what can I accomplish in a week's time? And to be quite honest, it also felt really good to hold someone else accountable, to say, okay, did you do what you said you're going to do? And then we get to watch each other kind of bloom and blossom and move along this process. And that was tremendous. It was a tremendous opportunity and learning and time of learning and fulfilling goals and milestones. That was really important for me.
Yeah, I just wanted to at least have people have I guess a visual, but not really, but you know, some example of not only the bigger community can be affirming, but even when you pair off.
Yeah.
And like I've done co-working days, like with just 3 or 4 folks at, you know, when I'm in a mastermind, right? And it does like makes a difference when like you have your co-working time or you can have your check-in. So with that, early on you talked about staying focused, like you wanted to, because let me know, put overwhelm in the chat if you've ever been overwhelmed, because you want to do this, you want to do that, like, you know, it's like squirrel, 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 right? So how do you set goals, execute, and now stay focused?
That's a great because I have outcomes, right? Like so now there are outcomes that I want to reach, and so it's easier to set goals. And one, I think now I know what's possible. So when you have an idea of what's possible, then the goals don't seem unattainable. So when you have a conversation, you're like, okay, well maybe I'll charge these folks, you know, $75 an hour. And it's like, you know, they're like, okay. And you're like, you know, like, it's like, oh.
Yeah, on the phone. That wasn't a technical issue. She's just like, they're like, right. Okay, like the expression of like, okay, Ann, let's move on to the next part of the conversation.
Exactly. And it's like, oh.
And you're like, that's it? Like, y'all don't need more explanation? Like, you don't need a chart that I got? Like,
right. I don't have to show you these degrees. You know?
I bought a copy of them with me.
Exactly. It had them mounted on wood. I didn't, but, you know. But so, you know, it's not just about necessarily upping the price. Like, it's not, ooh, let me see how much money I can get. It's like, my expertise has value. And now that I see that it has value and that the market has borne that for me, it tells me that this expertise has value and it is valued at this rate. Now I can backwards plan. So this is the goal that I've set. And now what am I going to do to get there? You know, and sometimes things work and sometimes they don't. But what I'm learning is that, and I'm learning it, I'm not fully versed, but I'm learning it. What I'm learning is that, so it's an opportunity to come back, retool, try again. You know, and so maybe it'll look a different way the next time. I had a workshop and the workshop fizzled. I did what I needed to do on my end. I was contacting people. I was trying to pull people into to the workshop. It just didn't work. And I can own that. But then I also know, okay, so maybe this wasn't the right weekend. Maybe I didn't contact the right people. Maybe the email needed to say this. Maybe the subject line, I could use this subject line. And so, you know, the way that I set goals now, it's backwards. I have these goals that I want to accomplish, and how am I going to make this happen?
You reverse engineer it, right?
Exactly.
And I just want to pause something because I want June to hear it, but I want all of you to hear it, right? She had a workshop, didn't work out, but she didn't say, I am not good enough. Something is wrong with me. She was like, could have been a bad weekend. Maybe the headline needed something else, right? There's all these other possibilities that could happen. And then she also said, well, try it again, another way. But many of us internalize that, right? And that's actually when there's a lot of research around how people deal with different things happening. So like when a challenge happening, are you saying like, oh, that's bad luck versus I am bad? And people tend to internalize, struggle with depression, anxiety, right? I think it's there's a whole like research, a lot of psychological research. Most of it came out of Penn. That's why I'm like, because I went to undergrad there, I like know a lot of it, that when we internalize it, right? And that's when those are often people who also tend to have depression and anxiety. But the people who tend to say, oh, that's bad luck, they tend to be the optimists, right? And then they just keep flourishing in the world because they're not internalizing it, right? And they keep moving.
And I think the other thing is that you really have to look at it for what it is. So the workshop didn't pan out, but I got 800 unique looks on LinkedIn at the workshop, at the video that I created. And then gained random people on LinkedIn who were like, let's connect. And it's like, okay. So it was a marketing strategy ultimately that did produce a gain. Now, it didn't work out the way that I would have loved for it to, but it did produce something, and that makes me happy. Because if there are 800 people who looked at this video, you know, from the people that I know and the people I know who shared it, then that means that I'm widening my impact. I'm widening the group of people who are looking at my work and who may potentially want to partner with me.
And once again, y'all, she's not saying, oh, this didn't work, I can never put myself out there again. You're like, oh, there was still some benefits to this, right? Mm-hmm. It's still positioning me as an expert, right? People are connecting with me to see how we can work together, right? So I'm just kind of pulling out some of these different mindsets because I know many of you are struggling or here. And Dr. Jill used to be there, right? And she's like in a totally different place as a result of a lot of this. So with that, do you have like a personal mantra or motto that kind of helps you to keep going?
I do. It's either you want it or you don't. You know, it's what prompted me to take that small action so many months ago, 13 months ago. But it also puts me in the mindset that if I'm not accomplishing what it is that I want to accomplish, that's on me. It's not on anybody else. It's not because Quanisha told me that I need to work so that I don't have an expensive hobby. You know, the work that I did with Quanisha helped me to expand my mindset. And what happens in my business is all me. That's all me. Mm-hmm. And so if I want a particular outcome, then I've got to chase it. And I don't mean like in a rabid kind of way, but whatever it is that I'm looking to accomplish, whatever it is I want in my life, I have to go and get it. So either I want it and I'm going to do those things, or I don't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was echoing a theme that we had throughout, taking 100% responsibility for your life, right? In orientation, that's what I tell you all, take 100% responsibility for your life, because your job is to work your business. It's nobody else's job to promote you.
Right.
Right. And I tell you, Target is promoted every day, McDonald's promoted every day. Why not you and the great work that you know even has more impact than the number 9 2 cheeseburger meal, right? So, but that once again is your job. I can teach you how to promote, right? I can show you these different ways that align with your persona. But at the end of the day, it's your job as the CEO to promote your business. And so I just wanted to put that in the context of like, that's what June is saying. And whatever the business action is, right? We're just talking about promoting yourself at this time, but that's your job. So that's why, once again, you can have all the how-to, but I think one thing Ken said, or was it Dr. Mark? Somebody said today that 80% of it's mindset. Yeah. And then 20% is the execution, right? Or maybe the training and the skills and know-how. So once again, you can have, some of you have done masterminds and courses or even read books and you're like, well, why am I stuck? It's probably the whole other 80% that needs tending to, right? And so, yeah, we can still teach you some more effective skills, but you're not going to do it if you don't have this base that you need. And it's not like, oh, the base needs to be at this level, right? We're always growing and tending to the base, right? In different ways, because different things start to come up at different levels. Right. So Dr. June said, like, first it was here. And you're like, wait, I'm worth more than that. Right. Even the question was, sometimes the question is, will somebody pay me? And then someone pays you. And you're like, well, will they pay me this much? So someone pays you that much. And then usually a peer would be like, well, you should really be charging this. And you're like, am I worth that much? Right. And you're like, oh, I am. And now you, right. So that's why I say self-worth is a spectrum. Right. So that's why it's not just like, oh, you can't start your business until you can charge $50,000. It's like, no, you got to tend to these little self-worth things along the way. So with that, what would be one piece of advice that you would give to someone who is frustrated and started out? Or another way to reframe this is, what do you wish someone would have told you at the beginning of your journey?
It will be hard. And I think that level of difficulty is different for different people. It can look any number of ways. Like, your business may be, moving and shaking, and then life happens. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, that's it, is that whatever you do, don't quit. If this is something that you want to do, if it's in your spirit, if you're called to do it, If it's down deep in your soul, then stay with it and see what it's kind of, I liken it to working out. The first day that you're in the gym, you may not see the benefits, but the longer you stay at it, it's like it has to produce. It has to. There's no other, at least in my mind, there's no other way that it can happen. And so, I do remember that conversation, Quanisha, and it was very valuable for me when you were like, you need to decide if this is something that you want to do. And I was like, but of course I want, but at the end of the day, one, either you want it or you don't. And two, commit to it. So stop after you've gotten a result. Don't stop before. Don't stop right before the muscle starts to pop. Wait until the muscle you're like, oh, I see a little definition. Now I'm going to stop, because then what you can produce, that it is possible, because I do believe it is possible, and I'm a testament to that. Never thought I'd say that, but I am.
That is so awesome. So I guess with that segues into the next question. Like, what is one thing you would say to any of the attendees who's considering maybe working with Black women CEO in the future? Or the way I really like to say this is, what would you say to your best friend if you wanted to recommend us?
Although sometimes it's tough to hear, you want someone who is going to who's going to listen, and who's going to allow you to be vulnerable, and who's going to breathe with you, literally breathe with you, and help you shift, but who's also going to give you who's also going to say the things you need to hear, because you can pay people to say platitudes about you all the time. There are any number of coaches who will, oh yeah, come on, yeah, oh, you're doing great, and you're not. You're just doing things. Everything that I've done with you, Quanisha, has had an out. It's something in, something out. And so that's the thing. That's the beauty of the work that I've done with you, is that sometimes things were tough to hear, but I needed to hear them because it moved me. It moved me. It made me quest, just that much harder. And you breathed with me. I mean, literally, but also figuratively, So bring who you are. You can be exactly who you are, and you can still be successful in your business. You can still be a CEO. You can still be a caretaker. You can still walk your dog. You can still get your hair done and have a session. Because there was, you remember, one session I was getting my hair done.
But if you're comfortable talking, we can have our coaching session today.
But it was necessary, and it was valuable, and I think that's the beauty of what you do. You meet people where they are, and you give them wings to carry themselves to where they want to be.
That's the first time I've ever heard someone say it like that. So one, thank you for one, just being honest and transparent, right? In that, and that was really wonderful and poetic. She's great with words. And I'm like, yeah, I give you wings. I love that. Did y'all like that? Isn't that like a nice thing to say? So I feel like Dr. June has given us a lot of success strategies. So I want to ask that one. I want to kind of segue to the Q&A. I don't want to say we're over time, because it's all about where spirit is moving us. But I definitely want to honor Dr. June's time and you all time, because we have been on here. So we'll start our official 15-minute Q&A. So one thing I'm going to ask for Kim, can you pick someone or if you haven't already, someone who's live to win that 20-minute power session with me? And then I'll say the first question here is from Marsha. And Marsha, you might have to come on maybe live to ask, because the way you wrote it, I'm not quite sure, but I'll just read it. She said, what would you say if you feel like you are still in the process of learning and educating as it relates to my expertise and building a business in that area of expertise. So that second part is where I got kind of confused. Oh, so Marsha, okay, all right. I unmuted you. You might have to unmute yourself. So Marsha, you're allowed to talk. Okay, there you go. Hey, Marsha.
Hi, how are you?
We are great.
Sorry, I worded that kind of funky.
It's fine. It's late.
So the question basically was, what would you say for, okay, I'll just be more specific. So I'm a therapist and I'm moving into working with people with body image issues and eating disorders. I don't have official training in that yet. I'm in the process of training and things of that nature, but I have started the process of building my business. So I guess for me, my fear is it's like, oh girl, you don't know enough. You need to not do anything yet until you feel comfortable or you've gotten all the training you need to move forward in that.
So the question, with that, so the question, as I hear it, let me just clarify. So what I heard you saying is you're a therapist, right? That's formally training, but you want to particularly work with women around body image, and you said eating disorders, correct?
Correct.
Okay, but you haven't done that work before, or maybe at the level that you want to do it? Is that?
I haven't done it at the level that I want to do it.
Okay, so let's actually play this game, right? What level have you done it at? Like, maybe tell me, like, what, you don't have to say the person's name, but how have you helped someone in this area before? Just one example.
Well, I have had clients where I've worked with them providing like clinical interventions for body image issues and eating disorders. Mm-hmm. And I was getting supervision with a supervisor in order to provide that. Okay. But in terms of getting official training, where
let's pause there for a second.
Okay.
Did that person what we know, like eating disorders and body image is a chronic condition, right? But Absolutely. Did that person, from their even assessment or your assessment, have progress?
Yes.
Did they maybe hit the targets, like the treatment plan that you set out for them?
Yes.
Okay, so they got the results that you set out. Okay, so let's just put that there. Right now, at what level do you want to be in this?
I'd actually like to get certified as an eating disorder specialist.
Mm-hmm. And at what level, I guess, do you want to do your work? That's probably what I want.
I mean, that's probably going to be my concentrated area in terms of treatment. So at the highest level possible.
So, but what is that vision of that? Is that you're working with groups of people? You're working with one individual? You're doing licensing? Like what, we can all have different dreams. What does that look like for you?
I'd like to do both individual and groups. I did put in the chat, I would love to gain like contracts with the Board of Education, like doing a workshop with teens, in regards to body image issues and things of that nature. So.
Okay, great. So Dr. June, I'm going to ask you this so that maybe you can help answer the question. So when Dr. June started, right, she was working for an agency as one of their facilitators, right? They were getting the contracts. He was a facilitator. Now, Dr. June, her vision was to be the person getting the contract. So you can see how this correlates, right? Right. And doing the regional stuff and maybe her hiring some subcontractors. So right. Dr. June, so it sounds like how did you feel confident enough to say like, yeah, I could do it at this level, even though I've been at this level before? Like maybe you never did a whole contract for a district. So maybe how did you bridge that gap?
So I think when you realize that, for me, when I realized that the work that I was doing as a subcontractor was valuable to the community or to the organization that I was working with, it was like, oh, okay. When you recognize that you are providing a discrete difference for the people that you're working with or the people you're working for, it's like, so there's really nothing that's standing in the way from me providing that directly to an organization or to a person. So you know that you have created change, that you have helped to facilitate change for someone.
Right.
And if you know that you've created that change, then it's very easy to recognize the fact that you can do that regardless of whether you have the training whether you have the training immediately or not. Because there are lots of people who work with folks around body image who have no training.
Right.
They got a story, and that's fine. I mean, okay, let me say my bias. Around coaching and counseling, I have some bias. It could be me being like snobby and elitist with my credentials, but I feel like at some level, one, you're a trained counselor and psychologist, right? So that this is not about you, but I have sometimes when people use their personal experience to create, and that's fine. But that to me is like in one, like you have an example of one. And sometimes if we haven't healed a certain way, we could be doing a disservice, especially if we're not aware of like psychology and like all these other things. So that's my bias. That's why I advocate for people that formally want to do coaching. I always say master your craft, right? Master your craft. But in your case, you have the training and you've gotten people results. That's what I heard Dr. June saying. And now it's about you owning that, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, for some of us, like if I want to go be a clinician, a formal psychotherapist, the state says I need certain credentials to go do it, right? So yeah, I have to then maybe go and do my sit for the licensing exam. I already got the degree that allows me to do that, right? All this other stuff. So there are some professions that is like, well, here are the requirements even to just operate in business in that way. But for your case, one, you're already coming with this expertise. You know the modalities that help with body image. You have helped people with it, right? And now it's just like, keep doing it, right? Keep going. Because technically you don't need a certification. And in your case, I think it's different from saying, oh, I think I need the certification. I'm not good enough. Hopefully that I didn't hear that quite, but it could be some of that. But yeah, you may just want to get more training to specialize, right? And to master your craft, but you can actually start positioning yourself as an expert in body image, right? And helping people hear from that right now. You don't need the certification first to then go do that. You can use the experience you have, the results that you got from people, because you probably now say, okay, I know that XYZ needs to happen to help her do da-da-da-da-da, right? You have kind of validated your particular signature process, and that's what you want to expand upon, right? And so you can actually start positioning, doing talks, groups, one-on-one, like whatever you want to do. And then of course, if you want to get more training, like I constantly are getting more training, whether in business development, sometimes in coaching. I'm reading a book that might talk about coaching a little differently because I want to hone my craft and have more tools in my tool belt to better still serve. But I'm still showing up, inviting people to work with me. And so I think that's the tweak. Like, I would always ask, are you doing this because are you doing this from a place of insecurity, right? Are you strategically making this decision from a place of strength?
Right.
Right. When you think about getting more of education, particularly, or more training, right? Are you doing this from a place of insecurity because you don't think you're good enough? Or are you doing this from a place of strength? And I don't expect you to answer that right now. I'm just kind of telling everybody that's a self-evaluation we have to do. And if you're doing it from a place of insecurity, then I would suggest don't, right? And tend to that, because you are, like June said, I'm worthy. Like, you all are worthy just because you exist. You're breathing air. You're a child of God. Right? Like that's it. You're worthy. That's like, we shouldn't, like, I want you to even stop questioning that. You are worthy, right? And everything that you've done, everything that you've cultivated right now is enough to go out there and attract clients, right? Or even contracts for what you want to do.
Right.
Does that help, Marsha?
That did. Thank you very much.
Yes, and thank you, June, for talking about your experience in that context. Dr. Sharita had asked before she had to jump off. She said, I would love to hear about how Dr. June connected with decision makers and moved through her sales process with organizations.
It's the fact of the matter is, and I think I heard you say this earlier, I can't remember if it was in the session with Marvette or with Kim, but you said that a lot of what you do comes from your network. It comes from family and friends, referral from family and friends. Because ultimately they're the people in my life, they're the people who believe in me, but they're also the people who are most familiar with my work. So many of the contracts that I've gotten to this point have come from referrals from other people. Like oh, I can't do this because I know people who work in the field, I can't do this, so I forwarded them to you, or I don't want to do this and I forwarded them to you, or I know you do this work, I've seen you do it really well, can you come do this? And so I'm a little bit different in terms of creating my signature offer, because my signature offer pulls from any variety of things. I don't think that I have a real, like, we work through X, Y, and Z. Like, it could be a little bit of an A, it could be one, depending upon what the organization, what's going on in the organization, the level of diversity that's been attained, the level of inclusion that people are experiencing. So one of the things that works for me in my business is listening. So being able to really acutely listen to what people are saying and translating that into providing solutions around what it is that they need. Because sometimes people don't know what they need. And I think that's the level of expertise. And to your point, to your question, Marsha, too, is, ultimately what you're talking about is transformation. And if you have, I'm a trained researcher. I have this level of expertise. And so what I'm talking about is transforming organizations. And I know it works because I've seen it. I've done it. I've facilitated day-long things. I've worked with schools. I did it in my own classroom when I was a classroom teacher. So these are things that I know that work. So when I can talk about it in a way that says this transformation produces results, and I heard what you said, it's when people are unsettled, or there's something that isn't working for them, when you can speak to that thing without fear and you can say to them, this is what I heard you say, and there's a fix to this. Now, you may have to make it up as you go along, but I can give you the skills and the tools and the tips and strategies and policies, programs, and protocols to get you there, to transform you, to provide a transformation. People are like really gobsmacked by that, because most people don't, like I said, they don't move in solutions. They move, or they don't move for the transformation. They identify the problem. My hair is on fire, rather than, figuring out what do I have around me in order to put the fire out. I want to tell you that my hair is on fire.
So, and I think this, like how Dr. Jean even describes herself, right? A solutionist. For those of us who, I think even if you do one-on-one, but I also do organizational work, like I do cultural competency training. People still call on me that. I just don't promote it. Like, it's all through referrals. And it's my fun thing to do, to stay close to social justice. Right? But like, there's processes that I walk people through, right? So what I heard you saying is like, she has a toolbox that she knows helps, and processes and exercises that, maybe company A only needs exercise 3, 6, and 9, but company 6 needs exercise 12, blah, 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 blah. But, she has a toolbox of things that help to do what she does, right? But she knows maybe that, okay, first I need to start with having an assessment with the organization here and their needs. The second thing I do is I give them an idea of what the proposal is. The third thing I do is actually meet with the leadership team, right? That could be the signature process. And because then based on that conversation with the leadership team, I actually start to plan my curriculum. And once again, they don't need to know your curriculum, right? Because you can always write a scope of the work that's just like summarizing. But when she's planning out her day, she's like, okay, based on what they said, they want to make sure that everyone knows some terms, right? I know those inner exercises, because it's also then what she believes. It's like, you need to do the inner work, right? And learn how to have these conversations and find out what are we all thinking, right? So then the exercises would do that. So that's why I just want to explain, sometimes the signature offer isn't like 5 steps to da-da-da-da-da. It's like the process that you even follow, say with your organization or even with your client. And then based on that, like she said, the listening, based on that, then you give, say, a treatment plan. So that's why I often equate y'all standing in your expertise like a doctor, right? You may have an ailment. Your doctor is saying, all right, we're going to do this test. We're going to do this test. Based on what we get back, this is what I think you may be struggling with, or this confirmed it. And now here's your treatment plan. So that level of confidence, right? And what is it? Definitiveness, right? Is that where, Dr. June, I said it right? Okay. That's where I want you all to stand. Like getting to that place to say, I know what the problem is. This is my assessment. And this is how I think we're going forward to get to where you want to go. Right? Like I just did a cultural competency training last year for political candidates. That was my first time ever doing it for political candidates. Usually I do it for students or nonprofit organizations. And when they asked me, they were referral, they was like, can you do this for political candidates? I was like, yep, because I know my stuff works. And I just tweaked it in a way to talk about political stuff. I know policy. I did political organizing. So but I was like, okay, we'll tweak it this way to meet the particular organization's needs. I still did the same exercise because I know you need to do self-reflection, right? And know your identities and all these other things, right? And the same thing in my work, right? Like if like when June came to me, even though we have the modules, right, to take you through the profit roadmap, I might tell her, based on where you are, I want you to do module 6 first, because you have this thing coming up. You have actually a client conversation. So let's go through how to have a sales conversation. Yeah. And then we can go back and do some of the money mindset work or whatever, right? And so that's why it's important sometimes to want to have support, because you may be in a place or an opportunity may come up and you're like, how do I even attack this? But now you have access to what you need, like the training and the coaching to then, meet that need, but then go back and understand holistically what you need to do, like June said, to be that CEO and have those skills to drive the vision and drive the revenue. So I just wanted to put that some more in context. I'm sorry, go ahead, June.
I appreciate what you said, because ultimately that is the process, right? Like listening, talking to leadership, and then assessing from what they say and giving them a treatment plan. So I thank you for putting that in steps, because that's exactly what I do. I just don't think of it in steps anymore.
Yes, I'm actually thinking about doing a workshop on creating your signature offer. Because actually when we met, that's what we talked about. I was like, well, step 1, you taking this. And then sometimes the downsell is if someone's like, I can't do your whole thing. It's like, well, let's just do the assessment. I'll write a plan for you and you go do it. Like, and people will pay you just for a plan because they don't have the expertise. It's like, all right, well, y'all do this and we'll check back in. And when they check back in, they might be like, no, we really need your help. Like, we actually want to hire you. So I just wanted you all to see that. So we have I think it's 5 more minutes. So if you have a question or if you want to come on live, raise your hand or drop it in the question box. And it looks like Laterica won the Laterica trip. You get the 20-minute power session with me. Let's all say yay to Laterica. Congratulations. And then once again, questions, y'all. You got me, you got June. Like this coaching. We coaching here. So if you're sitting there with some thoughts, remember there's not a wrong, like Kim said, the wrong question is the one you don't ask. She might actually said the stupid question is the one you don't ask, right? Because sometimes you're like, oh, should I ask this? Right? Or maybe you have a thought that keeps coming. Like, for example, I've been in a program that's helping with, Rachel Cook is my mentor. She heard the whole thing is uncomplicate your business. And she's like, do less to do more, right? And I was struggling with that recently. Like, why do I keep thinking I have to overwork? And I was reading her posts around how she has always been reduced. Like she works 24 hours a week and she has 3 kids. She has a set of twins and all these other things. And even though I work part-time, I sometimes feel like it's crazy. And then a thought came up just reading her post. And it was I was like, I'm scared to slow down. It came out, I'm scared to slow down. And I didn't even realize I was thinking that, y'all, but I caught it. So we teach you a process of catching your thoughts, because sometimes you don't even realize what you're thinking. But until I caught the thought, and I was like, no wonder I'm self-sabotaging myself. Like I'm working on the days off that I'm supposed to be, or sometimes I get my emails from 2 a.m, right? Like, I'm like, I'll send my email now. If they're up, they're not. If they'll read in the morning. But I really should be sleeping. I should not be writing emails right? At that time. So, but until I caught that thought, literally, it was earlier this week or last week, I was like, okay, I got to tend to that thought. And I had to examine it. Why does that thought exist? Then what has been the results of that thought, right? And my feelings, we talked about that thought, feelings, actions, belief, the cognitive behavioral process. So for some of you, if you want to catch your thought, like maybe you see yourself feeling overwhelmed, self-sabotaging, being stuck, feel free to raise your hand and come on the call. And I'm happy to help you maybe figure out what that thought is right now, right? So sometimes that could be the work, the coaching that you need is like, we may need to identify, what are you actually thinking? What is your belief, so that we can counter it? And I don't, Dr. June, you don't have to maybe share like the root of it, but one of the early beliefs, if you don't mind me sharing, Dr. June has, is that she couldn't write.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then we figured out where it came from. Now, once again, I told y'all she has a book, she's done a dissertation, but she wasn't able to write like her content marketing, because it was rooted in the thought. And we got to that thought and that belief, and then she was able to write. Right. She was able to share her thought leadership, but it was rooted in something that happened, right, that impacted her life. And so we were able to get to the thought, right, and the belief, and that totally shifted. So if you would like some support right now, I'm committed to being on the line to help you maybe identify the thought, right, or the belief that may be getting in the way. Or once again, we could do it together in a 20-minute power session. Now, you may be saying like, what? So in the last conversation with Kim, the woman, we had like, it's funny, Kim is a spiritual, Christian spiritual strength trainer. And somehow she brought the whole Holy Ghost. We like we had church. And I think it's also come up here. I see it in the comments. People are saying like, wow, yeah, you got to be committed. I struggle with the same thing. I want that clarity. Some folks are saying, and they say, I love that model, you either do or you don't. Like, so some of you right now are aware that you need support, right? That you need support, and that Black Women CEO may be for you. And so our network now has changed. I changed our programming a little bit. And the reason why this came up was because someone came on the line saying that she doesn't have the revenue to pay thousands of dollars. And she was asking, how do you still get help? Right. So of course we can re-examine our priorities, maybe shift some things around in order to make our business a priority. But I actually honor that sometimes we don't have the thousands of dollars to invest. So one thing that we did here at Black Women CEO that I did is that I changed the way our group program is to make it more accessible. So the pricing for it is $100 a month. And that was always my dream of how do we make high quality culturally relevant education accessible. So we have you can pay $9.99. Basically, you can pay $1,000 a year and save 2 months, or you pay $100 a month. And then there were so many women who said, it's called AYA, right? So that's our Black Women CEO coaching program, AYA. And so many of them people said, yes, AYA. Because I was like, if you want information, I'll send it to you. So many people said, yes, AYA, that I said, okay, everyone who signs up by tonight, and I'll say by 11:59 p.m. Eastern, right? So you got like 2 hours. One, I will send you the link to the sales page that technically isn't really finished. It's officially finished tomorrow. So there may be like some formatting stuff, right? And maybe Kim, you could drop the link in here. So we made a bit.ly link for it. I said, everyone who enrolls at whatever level, the monthly level or the annual level, I will give you a 20-minute power session, complimentary. That's my bonus to you to have your leadership. And as you can see, in 5 minutes, I can kind of hone in on your thought and give you a customized strategy for how then you can navigate the stuff for AYA. So here's the thing. If you know you want to join, click the link and go do it now, because I want to acknowledge you on the call. So Marsha said, yes, AYA, go ahead. Kim, put the link in and just go sign up and then tell us that you did, right? Actually, I'm gonna add something else today. I'm gonna give y'all my Bible that I use, my business Bible, and Kim and Dr. Ju may know is U Squared by Price Pritchett. It's our entrepreneurial Bible. It's literally the book that changed my life and business. I'm also going to give all of that to you all when you join up today. So you get 2 things from me, everybody who enrolls in AYA today. And so everything that Dr. June talked about, that Dr. Marvette talked about, that Kim Davis talked about is in AYA. So I don't want you to think that, we're Black Women CEO Collective members. The only thing that's changing is they got a lot more private coaching with me, but now all that private coaching is going to be in group. And so, yeah, we can still laser in on your particular challenges. And it's still the education, the skills that they got, right? And they too had group coaching. So they had a group coaching component, but that allows us to make it more accessible, right? And then also what's added that they didn't get. And so they might be like, wait, how's she doing this? Just so the experience that you had in RISE is exactly the experience that you're going to have in AYA. It's like the test. Like we're giving you a taste test of it. And so every month an expert is going to come in. Every month an expert is going to come in, hone in on a topic, right? That you may need or you may not need, depending on your stage of business. So you won't just have access to me, you're going to have access to experts. And once again, I did not plan to talk about this at all today, because this wasn't to sell you, right? To be like, we're going to make an offer at the end. That's not what it was about. But spirit moved. Like that I was like, people were literally like, tell me what you have. And I was like, oh my God, okay. I'm going to just tell you all. And so you can go to the page. The content on the page is the content, right? It's going to tell you about Aya, what it's going to help you do. And then when you click join the community, it's a community on Mighty Networks. It's not the one that we had for RISE. It's a private community, right? That's going to last, because the one for RISE is going to close on the 28th, right? So it's not like, oh, we keep meeting. No, that's going to close, it's going to be disabled. So if you still want to be in community, you want coaching that you've kind of seen some bits of it, but there's more, right? There's high level training, high impact training, teaching you how to sell. I give you everything you need to have a profitable business. There's no, hey, well, you got to buy 2.0 to get, no, you're going to have everything you need. But if you want more coaching, like if you say, okay, I do want more time just one-on-one with you, there's an opportunity to do that, but you don't necessarily need it to succeed. Right, you don't need it to succeed. We had one client, and Dr. G, Joanna Daniels from the UK, she only had group level access. She did like a strategy session with me, and then she saw she needed more. And then she only had group level access to the collective. She showed up every single coaching session. Within a month, she got, I think it was 4 paid clients. And then it was like around her 3 or 4 mark, she said, Quanisha, I'm on path to replace my full income. And she was a counselor. She works with parents who have trauma, and she homeschools her kids, y'all. So this is not someone who's like, oh, I just sit around and work on my business all day. And then by the end of that first year, she held a conference that like 30 people came to, and paid. Right? So group level coaching and training works. So I know sometimes we're like, well, I want my own thing. I want my own private time. And yes, that's great. If you can invest at that level, you can, make that happen, that investment. But the way we run our programs, the way we lead it, the way you all support one another is just as effective. So I just want to let you all know that. So if you said yes, Ira, earlier, go ahead and enroll. Tell me here that you enrolled, and everyone that enrolls we're not going to stay on, of course, till 11:59. We're going to wrap up. So I didn't realize we're even at 2 hours. But if you have enrolled, put enroll in the here so we can celebrate you. But if you said yes, Ira, later, and that's still, it's just Ira, go ahead and just click the link and sign up. Don't overthink this, because that's the other thing. A CEO makes decisions. So, and it comes from that gut. That's that spirit self. So if you know in your spirit, this is where you're supposed to be. And this is what I'm asking everyone at Aya, is to make that 12-month commitment, right? Because Dr. June can speak to this. You have stuff that comes up in this first year. And if you're not saying like, well, I'm at least committed, right? You will go backslide. You'll go hide and shrink. And I don't want you all to do that. Aya is the Adinkra symbol for endurance and resourcefulness. And another way to think of that resourcefulness is self-reliance. So you got to be willing to stick it out and to say, I'm struggling, right? Like on our call on Monday, one of our clients were like, I had some resentment for what you told me because sometimes it makes you look at yourself, and I wasn't happy about you, but this is why. It had nothing to do with me. It had to do with her, right? But she felt comfortable enough to say, like, this is why I answer your message when you message me. And Dr. Juna has that thing, like, yeah, I didn't reply back because I was still digesting what you said last week, right, Dr. June? But if they weren't committed to at least staying in the game, right, you could totally just let, and sometimes, like Dr. June said, I asked her, like, are you going to do this or not? Right? And it's okay. The no is okay. That's what I told you, right? The no is okay, but let's make a decision. Either it's a yes or no, because then we both know what we're going to do then, right? We know how to like go at this. So make the decision, y'all. Just make the decision. So the page you're going to is going to have like all the description that you need. You've kind of had this experience in this summit and stuff like that. Some of you have been on every single call, right? And active in the community. So if it's just Aya, just go do it. And actually, is Jessica Jones here? Because Jessica Jones joined Aya already. I saw that. Is Aya a separate account from Black Women CEO RISE Summit? So with the Mighty Networks, there's different networks. So like in Facebook, we have different groups. So the RISE Summit is a group. Oh, let's do this. Dr. June, if you have to go off, because it doesn't seem like anyone has questions. Dr. June, I thank you for being, I don't want you to have to stay on if they're asking questions about Aya. So let's all just thank Dr. June for being here in her time. Thank you so much, Dr. June, for sharing your expertise, sharing your experience. I value you so much. So if you have to jump off, go ahead and tend to yourself, because you kind of gave more time than we anticipated. So I just want to do that. And people saying, thank you, Dr. June. Thank you, Dr. June. And resonated, so I can share that with her later. But I want to be able to answer their questions without you having to sit here. Because I see
I've been traveling since 4 a.m. So I'm going to hop off. So thank you. And if you are, if hopefully you're not wavering, but if you are, it's the best investment you can make in yourself and in your business. So, good night. Thanks, Quanisha.
Thank you,
everyone.
Have a good one. Thank you, sweetheart. Okay, so let me. All right. So, and once again, if you have to roll off, I'm happy to, thank you for coming. But I'm really am committed to answering your questions. Like I said, I didn't plan to do this, but it came up. You asked for it. So I really want to make sure if you have questions, because like I said, that offer is until tonight. So I'm always committed to making sure that you all feel good. But once again, it's a decision that you have to make. Like, it's yes or no. And I always say, like, I honestly, when I fear something, I do it so I can face my fear. Because usually when I get past that fear is when I'm like, have had success on the other side. I'm like, oh, look, I was scared and I still did this. And here's the results. Like when I joined my first mastermind, it was $1,000 deposit. It was, I think it was like a 6,007K program or something like that. And I only had the $1,000. But one thing I knew about myself is that I would do the work for the program to pay for my business to pay for the rest of it. And it did. And I got a business credit card just in case, right? So I applied for that like the next day after I did my deposit. And all my business has paid for all my 40K of education. Right. And like I said, I've had a 300% return. And I'm so invested in y'all making money. Y'all have seen that from all the RISE honorees today. Right. I'm highly invested in them. I will check up on y'all. Right. So although I plan for Aya to have like 1,000 people by the end of the year, I will know every one of your names. Right. And we'll have a team so that we can be high touch. And if we don't see you, right, because Mighty Networks would tell us you're there, not showing up, we're going to check on you. So the Aya community, because it says Black Women CEO, the RISE community says Black Women CEO RISE Summit, something like that. That's like a Facebook group, its own Facebook group, but on hence Mighty Networks, right? That's going to close, right? So just like our Black Women CEO group on Facebook has closed, that's going to close on the 28th. Everyone's going to come out. We're going to ask Mighty Networks to deactivate it because that was just for this summit, right? Anything that's in there you won't have access to, it's going to close. Aya, so once again, if you want to continue to be in community with like-minded women to get support even from each other, if you want to keep getting coaching and training from me, if you want access to experts, and all the expert trainings, the live stream are coming down for Facebook. It's going into our vault in Aya. So all those recordings, if you want to reference it, are only going to be in Aya. We're taking it down off the podcast, everything. But then, like I said, every month we're having a new expert come in. So if you like this aspect of expanding your network, right? One of the reasons too why Black women aren't generating revenue is our network. It shows that there's a couple of studies that just came out from the National Women's Business Council that our network also impacts our ability to generate revenue, right? And have increased capital. So that's why I'm creating Aya this way so that experts can come in. And of course, if you want to work with them, fine. But as you all have seen, just those 30-minute trainings or 1 hour trainings have like been action packed, and you can really take your next steps in that. So that's why it is. It's the group training. You're getting our comprehensive Black Women CEO training programs, new and improved, right? Because I'm updating everything, right, to really make sure it's up to date. And there's something that are like evergreen, because it's like, this is the process, you're going to do it. You'll have access to me virtually, and we do twice a month. So that bi-weekly coaching, I'm actually thinking about making it weekly, Kim Davis. So talk about that a little bit. Because I don't know, I kind of want to touch y'all and do coaching every week. But anyway, that's an aside. But right now it's at least twice a month. And some of you got the benefit of being on one of the calls because you bought the birthday bash, my mug, and that was my gift to all of you. But here's the thing. I'm also, like I said, committed to by tonight, if you're enrolled by 11:59, and it's that bit.ly link there. Kim, can you post it again? Everyone who joins today, I'll give you that 20-minute power session. That's a $350 value, right? So, right? It's like you almost getting your first month money back because I'm like giving you this training, right? You're paying $99 to get even $350 worth of coaching, and then everything else that's an IRA, right? So you're getting a real good deal in that way. So, and let us know if you're enrolled. I know Jessica Jones enrolled. So if you're here and you're enrolled, because a couple of you were here earlier, and you said yes, Aya. So go ahead, go to the link and register, and let me know if anyone else has questions, because I'm committed to staying on the line to answer questions. So I'm trying to see people saying this amazing. Thank you, Dr. June. So yeah, so that's the difference between the RISE community and Aya. Aya will be there forever. Well, as long as we're doing it, right? Which I plan to do it for the rest of the Black Women CEO business life. That's our new premier program, right? Everything that we've done prior to that has now just been, reframed into Aya, right? So everything you heard from our honorees will still apply because we're just transitioning that into Aya just in a slightly different format to still support you all. And to me, adding more richness. Like I said, we're adding in other experts so that you can have access to more people. But yes, the Mighty Networks for RISE will be closing and accessible. And then all these trainings are coming into Aya, and then, building on it from there. So Liturgical said, I'm shocked. Oh, is that for the, that you won the 20-minute complimentary session? Okay. Any other questions about it? Like I said, I didn't plan to talk about it today, but you all can go to, like Marsha said, she just joined Aya. Welcome. Yay. I wish I had like the lays or like sometimes the things that everybody puts on you at live events. I think we're going to do a live event. We're going to plan a retreat. I told you, I said this on the Events for Business. I'm like, it's time because you all keep asking me about it. So they said, congratulations, Marsha, won't he do it? Yes. So congrats. She said, I'm scared and excited. Yeah. So when you're scared, it really is excited, right? So that's another shift we can make. You're excited. It's excited about the possibilities, right? I love when Dr. June just said, she's like, let's see what happens. And that's how I am. And when she said that, I was like, oh, I bled off on her. I was like, let's see what happens, right? Right. Sometimes it's just like, let's just see what happens. Let's get the results, right? Some of you are so stuck in these hypothetical situations and you don't have real information to make a decision. And it's not saying, I'm being very transparent that every single thing you do in business, like this one time, like my first workshop, I had one person sign up, but I went and had recorded the whole 4-hour workshop and put it together, right? And that person paid like $197. But putting that 4-hour workshop together helped me to think through some other things that became a basis for other programs that I did later, which I've made thousands of dollars off, right? So, but I did it and I got the information. And like she said, it's like, okay, well, maybe I need to tweak how I talked about this. Or was the sales page too long? And I had a mentor, I had private coaching. So we sat there and decided how I should change it in the future. And every single workshop I've had since then has had multiple people, right, show up at that same rate in different ways. And once again, has led to people paying me $5,000, $3,000, up to $10,000. And even organizational, charging, me getting 14K contracts from organizations to coach in their community, right? So, but that's what we mean, see what happens, get the real world results. That's what a pro does, right? Stephen Pressfield, the War of Art, talks about a professional does their work in the real world. So, if anyone else wants to join, because I know a couple of you said yes, Ira earlier, right? If you, once again, make the decision, go ahead. The page is there if you want to read more of the details and tell you, once again, I think you understand kind of what we're about, but it told you again. Let me see if there's some other folks that came in that maybe they're not on the call. So I just want to check. But any questions, you can come on live and ask me a question or put it in the Q&A. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to commit to just being on here 10 more minutes. Well, if there's no question, we'll get off more. But there's a number of you still here, right? So there's a reason probably why you're here. You're not here to just hear me talk. You you're either thinking something or you're feeling something, and go ahead, ask it, right? If you're feeling something, I'm happy to answer. If you're thinking something, I'm happy to answer it. So you have access to me. And you're not alone. There's already members in Aya, because we have founding members, and then we have members who transition from the collective into Aya. And then, like I said, we have some women from RISE who are joining. So like I said, Jessica Jones, Marsha just joined. Okay. So those are some of the folks I see here already. And Laterica said, I just got my app. So I guess, Laterica, are you in the process when you said you just got the app? And she was like, I'm working on it. So let us know if you're planning to join. She said, yes. So yay, Laterica. Yay. And actually, so what I'm doing, so there's a couple of you who won. So I think Marsha won the 20-minute power session. So you two, because you won, I'm not like replacing your bonus. We're going to do it as a 40-minute session or 20 minutes. So you'll still get what you won, and then you'll also get the bonus for your leadership and signing up for Aya today. Marsha said, yes. Yes, at 40 minutes. Yeah, so we can either do it as a whole 40 minutes. I would prefer that you do it as 2, right? Because the 20 minutes are powerful. You don't necessarily need 40. So this way we could meet once, you go do some action, and we can meet again and check in. So yeah, Marsha said, yeah. She's like, I'll do 220. So I just wanted to let you all know what's possible. And I can't wait for Laterica to come in. Anyone else? Are y'all in the process of like doing the stuff? And Shaniqua's here. Hey, Shaniqua. She's another one of our Aya members, and she's private clients working. Who else is here? Are there any other people? Okay, because I know a lot of people signed off already. But once again, I'm here. Raise your hand. Ask your question. Like I'll be on here for 6 more minutes. Or if you're in the process of, going through the page and joining, let me know, because I want to just acknowledge you on the call and acknowledge your leadership. Okay, I'm just looking at the app because sometimes I can see here faster. Okay, so let's see. We have Kim is our staff member. Laterica said she's in the process of signing up. So Malaysia, you're still here. Amazing enough, amazingly enough, even my 3-year-old enjoyed the RISE. Awesome. I'm glad that the baby has enjoyed the conversation. Hi, Levon. I see Levon here. I see Rochelle here. And I know Shanique was joining in. Anyone have any questions? And questions about anything. It could be about Aya, or you can, once again, it's still like Q&A time a little bit. So if you have anything you need support with, I'm here for 5 more minutes. And once again, if you want information, you could type in yes, Aya, if you want us to send you the link. But it's right here. So earlier I didn't have the link, because literally after I got off, the sales team, the consultant who's working on doing the page for me and some other things, they were like, check this out. The link is live, look it over. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to send this to people who said, yes, Aya, because it has all the information, but it's still being finalized. So you'll see, like I said, some little things that I caught. It's going to be completely there tomorrow. Laterica, are you saying what made me decide to do this? Are you talking about the summit? Let me know if you're talking about the summit when you said do this, so I can just know exactly what you're talking about. And while Laterica, she said yes. Okay. So what made me do the summit? So 2 years ago, I did 28 days of Black women CEO success, and the community loved it. When I say community, like people who are in Black Women CEO, a lot of people joined, not necessarily our paid program, but they joined into like our community, and some of them did become paid clients. But I love this idea of just sharing like the information. And this time I was like, let's really make it like a conference. And so literally, and Kim will tell you, I didn't decide this like in December to be like, oh yeah, February, we're going to do 28 days again. It came to me in like spirit. I was like, we need to do this again. And Shelly Bell and I have been texting because we've been trying to figure out ways to work together. Shelly Bell is the founder and CEO, Kim said, yep, of Black Girl Ventures. And literally I texted, I was like, are you free on the 31st to do a keynote? And I was texting some people that came to mind, and it was only one person was like, nah, I can't make it. I was texting Kim, like, Kim, you know, we wanted to work together again and play this year. Like, you want to come do it? And then Monique was at our business. Monique and I, we did an event. We co-led a workshop for Black Women CEO in January, and everybody loves her event for business. I was like, all right, Monique, you got to come do it again, because all these people had questions, right? And then Ashley Kirkwood, she had reached out to me because I promoted some of her trademark stuff. She's like, okay, we're doing it again. February's a workshop. And I was like, look, we can do it in this context. So sometimes I get moods, but we're going to do RISE every year. I think it was such an enjoyable experience. I didn't want to do it on Facebook. I wanted to do it on Mighty Networks because one, you see every post, right? If I notify you all, I know you see it, right? And Facebook algorithms. So I wanted to do it off network. And also that's why I placed Aya there, because we don't have to like have all these different platforms. Everything will be in that community. So that motivated me to just get some. And once again, the community for Aya didn't come at the beginning. Like a week in, and I was like, wait, we need a home base while we're doing the RISE Summit. So that's why I opened it. And she said, last minute powerful. Yeah, so I enjoy always bringing, like we had a Facebook group I just closed. It was the Black Women CEO Collective. We have 5,000 women in that group. So I know that being a community, even when it's complementary, is powerful. So like I said, I was moved to do like this version of 28 Days of Black Women CEO Success. I literally rented a hotel room so I could record that video, right? And then I realized that for the business strategy component that everything that I was even putting together for the RISE, like when it came to me, it wasn't like for business, but like I said, you want to promote, you always want to think about the business aspect of even when you're moved by a topic. And I realized, I'm like, wait, everything that we're doing in the RISE Summit, it's what Aya is, right? So it also, the 1,000 women who joined this month, I was like, oh, it'll give them a taste of what we do. And if they want to continue with it, then they can come into the community and explore it. Right. So that was the motivation was I was moved to do it again and do it in a different way. My mentor, Ariel Loren of 100K Incubator, she wants more Black women to get 100K in revenue. She was working with me in the strategy and stuff around this, the content. So one thing that was different about the 28 days is that it's not something going out every day. Even though we did have some technical issues, so some of you may have gotten something every day. So my apologies once again. So, but it was like, once a week having some experts. And then I wanted to do this panel because I wanted, like today, the honorees, because I wanted you to see, like I said, some people who in their first to 3 years, see what's for them. And then we're kind of concluding with me doing my training, right? How I attract 5K plus sales months by working my business part-time. So that's probably longer than what you asked, Satirical, but that's one thing I kind of lead by example is that sometimes we'll be moved to do something. And my part is to make sure that you do it strategically for your business, right? So if you're like, I want to write a book, it's like, okay, well, what are you writing the book on so that it serves your business, right? And it leads to clients. So yeah, there are some business things in this, but genuinely, I wanted to connect that RISE. It's time for the world to know your name. It just came. Like it really came, that video, like I was literally in a hotel room and it was like, that was flow. I didn't write anything out. So yes, you can be moved by spirit, but because I have this, I'm proficient at business, I can also make sure it works for Black Women CEO and building our business and building the assets that we need. And then once again, some of you will come in and be, paid members. So Malaysia said, hey, Quanisha, I'm in the field of psychology. I have a wealth of information in my head, but I'm unsure of how to pull it out and put it all together to get started. I would like to start a YouTube channel and get clients, but I'm not sure where to start. I would like to coach people on how to raise conscious-minded children while becoming conscious, emotionally intelligent themselves. So what I would tell you right now, Malaysia, is, you just said conscious-minded children, but how to say this? Businesses solve problems, right? So while you have a wealth of information, it's like, How will you be using your gifts and expertise in service of solving this problem? People pay for solutions, right? So even the coach people on how to raise conscious-minded children while becoming conscious and emotionally intelligent themselves, is that really, like, if I'm up, are there people who are up at night at 2 a.m. saying, oh my gosh, I really want to raise consciously minded children? There may be those people, but they just may not be wording it that way, right? Because that has a lot of, I call it jargon and professional speak. So we need to find out. There may be people saying, I want to raise good citizens, right? Or I don't want my son to have toxic masculinity, right? Or I want my daughter to feel confident in who she is and be a contributor to society, because I want that. So I want her to grow with me in it, right? So there may be different ways she's saying that, but it's like our business needs to solve solutions. So that's why I say your business is not about you. Your gifts are not about you. Of course, I want you to be passionate and connected, right? Because we got to get up and do it every day and feel good about it. But at the end of the day, I would ask you, what problem are you solving? And how can you use your gifts and what you know in the process of solving that, right? So your wealth and knowledge, it may be that like 10% of that knowledge is going to be in service of your business, right? The other 90% could be what you pursue and what you know, or maybe what you teach at the university, right? But that 10% that's on maybe helping parents to raise, you know, I know you said consciously minded, but I'm just thinking like people don't necessarily talk that way, but to raise respectable children, or good, like quote unquote, good children, or children who think about other people, right? Who are just good people, who are good people. That might be like, you know, sometimes I think I'm like, I just want my kids to be nice, like, and respectable, and like not assholes, right? And so that might be what folks would say. So let me know if that resonates, Malaysia. But so that's what we would figure out, right? Act right, children. Marsha said, right? I want my kids to act right and be respectable. Respectful, right? So one, we would figure out what is it that people are actually saying around this, and what are their words. And then what are their problems? Like, what are their struggles and what are they desiring? And then we would figure out, how do you think they need to fix that? And some of that is based on what you have already done with people around this, right? And then you may figure out, you know, what they're actually missing. You might be like, you know, parents don't actually realize they need to do this and this and this to raise kids who act right, right? And all these other things. And so that is where you would start to use all this wealth and knowledge and honing in on creating a solution for your soulmate client, right? These parents who want, she said you are so right, right? So that's the issue sometimes, is that it's not about, I think we take this wrong sense. We're making it about us. We're like, I want a business that I'm passionate about. It's not about you. It's about you solving a problem and then using your expertise and passions in service of solving that problem. Right, in service of solving that problem. So let me know if that answers your questions, right? So of course, there's like a lot more that we can do, but yeah, you could do what you want to do. We just need to hone in on what the problem is that you would be solving, and how we use your gifts in service of that, and then how do we market, you know, what type of marketing you would do that still aligns with who you are, right? So you feel authentic, you feel good about getting out there. And then of course, there may be mindset things that are coming up that might prevent you from marketing. Like, you've heard all of these stories, right? So when things come up, we can tend to that space while you're also learning like effective strategies to connect with that audience who needs what you have. She said, that's what I'm trying to work through. Yeah. So Malaysia, I invite you to come into Aya. And if you sign up today, you get that 20-minute power session. So then you and I one-on-one can dig more into and get to the root of what some of this might be. And I can give you some effective strategies so that as you're navigating Aya, and of course, like I said, we have you were there, you did you got the bonus, you bought the mug, right? So you've seen how a coaching call went, and right, how we honed in and did the specific stuff. So if you want more of that in community, go ahead. And she said, yes. So girl, click the link. Kim, put the link there again. Put it right there, so it's right under it. And I hope I'm saying your name right, because you didn't come on live. Go ahead and just do it, right? Just do it. So go ahead and sign up. So Kim is putting the link again. Enroll at Aya today if you'd like to get the bonuses. Anyone else? I'm on the line. And I know I said time, but once again, I know sometimes y'all be percolating on stuff. So Latirica said she's in the process of joining. Did you actually get your confirmation, Latirica? Let me see. Let's see who I see. Let me know if everything went through, if you're still working. I might have to refresh my thing. I think that's probably part of the problem. So she's in the process. Malaysia said she's coming. Marsha, I think you said you signed up, right, Marsha? I think she said yes. Malaysia, no degrees, 2 classes away from a BS. Yeah, you can still be, you can have a bachelor's and do the work you want to do. It's not always about the credentials, right? People want people who solve their problems. So you can say you solved this problem, right? That's what they want, right? They want people who, Marsha said she did. Lavon, how about you? I know you said yes, Ire earlier. So were you able to finish the process so we can acknowledge you? And Shaniqua was already in. So Shaniqua, hey Shaniqua. Shaniqua is my shy person. She's always like, don't acknowledge me. I'm not coming on video. So we're gonna work on that with Shaniqua. Although she has a really awesome candle business. Shaniqua, can you drop in your link? She said, hey, Aya sisters, can you drop in your link to your candle company? Let me tell you about Shaniqua's candles, right? So she gave us, Monique and I, because she did the business kickstart, and then she joined into our paid membership and community that she got as a bonus as a private client. She gave me this candle, and I had it like in my room, and my husband came in, and he was like, it smells sweet in here, like maple syrup. And I was like, I don't know what y'all talking about, right? And then my son came in and was like, Mommy, it smells like sweet in here. And I was like searching for and I went out and came back and I was like, yeah, it does. Mind you, this candle was not lit. So they're soy candles, right, Shaniqua? Hopefully you can type into the chat. I think you're here. And that's how powerful this candle was, that it wasn't even lit and it was still in the nice satin tie that she gave me. And I was like, this is lighting up my whole bedroom. And it smelled good. So when we said that, but it was like powerful. And I was like, wow, I still haven't lit it because I'm just like enjoying it, not even lit. I probably should write that as a testimonial, like, oh, the Saj candles are so powerful. You don't even need to light them, right? But she's like, light the candles so you can use it and buy some more. That's probably what you're going to tell me, right? People got to use your products. Kim is laughing. But yes, as you can see, we have a woman with a range of different businesses. Like Dr. June does consulting work. Kim does spiritual coaching, right, and support. Dr. Barvette helps dissertation students. Shaniqua's in the community. She has a whole candle company, right, helping people to change the essences of their home through her candles, right? So she's e-commerce. Lavon, Lavon was on Facebook today. She also has an e-commerce business. She sells affirmation products to help people with their confidence, and she does vision board parties and a lot of other different things. So we have women who do a range of services in our community. There's some who do parent coaching too, right? Some folks who also work with higher ed places. So you're getting these women who are highly educated, highly talented. That's why I say highly talented, because once again, you don't need to have a doctorate to get paid well, right? There are some folks who just have their bachelor's or they just have training in what they do, and they're in our community. So you'll be in community with them also. And me and then the experts who come in. All right, so last call. If you want to let us know that you formally enrolled so I can acknowledge you here, please go ahead and do so. And once again, last call for questions. If you have a question or if you want to come on live, I'm happy to answer it. So Marsha said, enrolling was a leap of faith, not to put all my business out there, but I lost my job 5 months ago and decided that I wanted to go into business for myself, of not really knowing what that would look like. But I was tired of giving years to others and not investing in myself where it mattered. So I resonated with the young lady who stated that she didn't have the money. Yeah, so that's what kind of came up in the last session. So and I'm glad you said it in this context of this is really about investing in yourself. And some of us don't invest in ourselves because we don't think we'll do the work. So, you're doubting yourself. That keeps you from investing in yourself because you're like, am I going to really do this? Right? Am I going to commit and follow through? And sometimes that is actually the reason why you should invest in yourself, right? So that you can get the support and committing and following through and doing what you dream of, right? So, Marsha, I just wanted to let you know you're not alone. There's women who came to me because they, maybe had a layoff for a job or something happened. There's some people that had that happen while they were working. And then it was it almost sometimes elevated their belief of oh, I really got to do this now. It's a lollygagging, right? I got to get it done. And so once again, my commitment is for y'all to generate revenue, make money, right? So that, you know, one, you can tend to yourself in the situation and then maybe completely overcome it if you're generating the revenue that you need, right? But yeah, this is often about investing in yourself, and someone else is sharing that's what I am. And that's also why I created Aya, because I wanted it to be more accessible. I don't want money to be a reason why Black women can't get the high quality business training and support, like coaching, right, that you all need. And of course, when y'all start generating more money, or some of you may be coming in at a different means level, and if you want private coaching and all this, yeah, you can get it, but it's not required, right, to do well and start generating revenue, right? And that's why I mentioned Joanna at the group level, right? And she like, she like took off. And then I have an interview. Joanna actually did one of our sessions. We interviewed her. So I'm going to upload Joanna's story because she did it. Can remind me to like, because she did one of our master classes in the collective, because we had a monthly call and she, you know, was interviewing Joanna. So I wanted her to motivate some of the other ladies. So just remind me, Kim, so that we can upload Joanna's call, because I think her story will resonate with a lot of y'all. Like, she literally paid $97 a month. Like, she had signed, she like put money together to do, at the time, the profit planning sessions was like $350 or $500. I was just starting to do them and testing out if it even worked. And then she said, I need your help. And she was like, but I can only afford like $97 a month. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And she was hungry and dedicated. So that's the thing. Sometimes when money is tight or situations happen in life, you're hungry and dedicated, right? So you're going to show up at a different level than sometimes. I've seen people, even in our program and in another business community where I was a business coach, they will drop 10K and then not show up. And I'm like, who do that? Like, where y'all do that at? I show up no matter what my investment is. I'm on the live calls. Kim has been my mastermind sister. She know I'm asking my questions in the group. Kim said yes. I'm tagging the coach, right? And then if she has the live events, I'm there. I'm the first one signing up so I can also get the bonus. I tell y'all, if you invest in it, maximize your investment. Maximize it. So, and once again, what people do with them, I don't count other people's purses and money, but I'm just letting you all know, like, you could be that hungry person at $97 a month and you will get further than that person that invested 10K, right? So sometimes it's not about money as far as like effort and what you're capable of, right? But my dream is my social justice mission, right? My background is that I don't want money to be a barrier. I don't, right? And if that means like I'm making less because, and I've actually been like, this hasn't even been a burden on me to do it this way, right? At all. And so that's another thing that's like confirmation for me. God is like, see, I told you. And I'm like, yeah, I see. So we're going back to this spiritual part. And so, but this is my work in this season of life. It needs to look like this. It needs to be like this. It needs to touch you all who are having some of these experiences, because I want you to win. I want you to win. And like I said, if you sign up today, you're going to get the 20-minute power session with me. And so Kim said, sometimes when money is tight, it's a great motivator to get stuff done. Yeah, I left graduate school, like working for myself. I did not even apply to social work jobs because I was like, I'm going to work for myself. I'm going to figure it out. And literally, my mentor called me and was like, I'm creating this position. I instantly thought of you. She was like, because you're everywhere. Because I was implementing. Every time if I got a $15 book, I'm implementing. And then that mentor would put me on their platform saying, here's Quanisha, her testimony. And she was like, you're everywhere. And I also exemplified her work. And that contract allowed me to leave graduate school with a baseline. And then it also gave me confidence. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go get some other organizational clients. So I graduated, right? So this happened. It was like around, she called me around like April. And it was like, April, and I was graduating in like late May, June. By the time I graduated, I had 5 organizational clients and I didn't have to get a job. So I literally went from a broke graduate student. I was social work. You had to do 3 days of placement. 2 of my days I was being paid for by Bryn Mawr to be in their civic engagement office. And the 3rd day was still part of just the social work requirement. So literally, I was bringing like in $1,000 a month, right? Broke graduate student. I was going to talk about this tomorrow, but we just talk about today. And I came out with the ability to have all my bills paid and more because of these contracts. And it's just been growing and growing and growing for that. And then, as Dr. June said, it now gave me the space to design my life as I want, and then to go after things position myself for stuff. I don't even say I go after, I attract. People come to me, right? I want it to be sought after, and that's exactly what I am. Right. But it's still my job to get out there and position myself, right, and promote. But this a lot of times, like, people call me like, hey, I'm ready. And I like, my friend, actually a colleague, was like, I decided I wanted to work myself, and I instantly work for myself, and I instantly thought of you. So what it looked like, and then she paid. Right. So like, that's what I want for you, right? That you have now got into this position where you're confident. People are seeing, like Dr. June said, it's when people started seeing her showing up that they then started to even say, oh, you do this? Hey, come do this for us, right? She sent the email out to her network. Oh, here, there's an opportunity, right? So that's that getting out there. So if you feel like you need to learn how to promote, you need to feel confident in it, you want to learn a way to promote that's authentic to you. Because I'm not about being like, everyone has to do it this way. No, there's a range of ways, but it's about aligning it with your persona. So that's been a place you're stuck. IRIS for you, right? If you know you're dealing with mindset stuff, IRIS for you. If you want to be in community, so you're you're not alone, IRIS for you. Right. And once again, this is not the hard sell. This is me just telling you how it's for you. Right. And some of you are like, oh, this is so long. If you got to go, you got to go. But the reason why I'm talking to this, because I know what you're thinking. Right. And while we may be saying, oh, $97 a month, it's not a lot. It's not about the $97. It's about you now having to face yourself. It's about you having to face yourself. So I'm going to invite all of you that are still here. If you know if you're scared, that's the reason to do it. You got to face the fear, because that fear is going to keep you stuck and you're not going to get the results. I asked all of you, what would a successful business look like for you? What is that amount of money that you want to make? Right. And some of you articulated that and you saw how powerful, like, wow, I didn't even know that's what I wanted. Right. Even just articulating that was powerful. And we hope you get clarity on what is the life you want to live, so that we build that business around that from the very beginning. Right? Getting clarity on who you want to help and the problem that you want to solve. Then, right, getting you that courage and confidence, like those small, once again, it could be small things that you're doing that builds it, that allows you to then get out there, start generating money. And then when you do that, it's even like, all right, let's take it to the next level. Right? Like, and some of you would start out being like, I'm gonna start asking at the $1,000 level, and that's fine. But some of you may need a safe space to work towards that. And that's what Aya does. That's what Aya does. Sometimes when money is tight, it's a great motivator to get stuff done in your business. Oh, and then Kim says, so true. My clients come to me and understand understand your clients are waiting for you to show up. Right? There are people who, the way you show up, the way you talk about the topic, because we all know there's nothing new under the sun, but your personality, the way you talk about it, is going to resonate with them. Right. There's people all the time, like literally a mentor and I, we were coaching, and they were like, I like the way you said it and the way you did it, so I want to work with you. And it doesn't mean something's wrong with the other person. Is that she resonated with some people, I resonate. Like, that's how you serve communities differently, right? It's like, pick your coach, right? And we're going to work with you, right? So, and you all, like, some of you are sensitive about me, and y'all said that, oh, the way you showed up on video, right? The things you said resonated with me. And that's what you will be for someone else, for your soulmate clients, right? The people in your tribe, right? So I'm almost what you see me do and our leaders here do is what you will be doing. Like, we lead by example, and that's exactly what you can do. You can have a summit, right? And attract people and then become clients. You can have a workshop, attract people, become clients. You can get that $25K contract, right? Because you started to actually get out there and saying, I'm an expert in this. This is what I do. Right? Everything. And of course, legally, I can't say we guarantee blah, 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 because I don't want anybody to sue me ever. Right? But this, I'm showing you all these various examples from different things because I know that this is possible for you. Like with Dr. June just now, I said a year ago, she said this is where she wanted to be, and this is exactly where she is. Because I remember y'all dreams. And I'll remind you of them too. I'm like, you said you want to do this, so you got to do the work. So Marsha, I see your, Marsha came in, yay. I know she said she enrolled, but not, I see it here. Yay. I think Laturik, I saw your name pop up too. Oh my God, wait, it's like not refreshing. I think, let's see, something happened here. I might have to come out the app. All right, y'all, if there's no more questions or thoughts, Kim said, congratulations, Aya sisters. yeah, so once again, you have like an hour if you need to like talk to the husband and all these other things. That's another thing, right? Do you have to converse with your husband when you're buying a pair of shoes every month? Like, let's be real about it. So sometimes we're going to our spouse or significant other because we want them to validate us. And part of that CEO thing is you validating yourself, right? Because think about all the times when you go to the supermarket and you spend $100 and you know you overspent, you don't go call like, can I have permission to buy these levels? No, you just do it, right? And that's the same thing you need to start doing in your business. And then trust that your business is going to make that money back. And of course, I'm not saying go do things that will get you divorced. Everybody has different rules and they're like their relationships. But Laterica said, first it said join them. First time I joined, it said success and our internet is going in and out over here. All right, well, let us know if you're having trouble. So maybe that's why. I thought I saw your name, but maybe your name. Okay, we'll figure it out. Yeah, I thought I saw your name pop up, but we'll figure it out, right? So, if you're having a hard time, send us an email so we can figure it out. Or maybe I use your data instead of the internet so everything goes through. I forgot what I was talking about. Oh, the husband thing, right? Or the partner thing. So once again, or if you do talk to your partner from a place of strength of like, hey, I'm planning to do this. So we're going to move some things around in the budget so that I can invest in my business and learn this. Versus like, I think I want to do this, but I'm not sure. And I know we got to pay the veterinarian, but the dog's not even sick. And I got church on Saturdays and I volunteer, right? If you come to your spouse's significant other unsure, this is what happens. They are going to say, no, don't do it right now because they want to comfort you, right? They want you to stay safe. And so they're going to tell you that probably the part of like, don't do it because they want you to stay safe, right? But if you come from a place of strength of saying, this is what we're going to do, let's figure it out, or this is the plan, right? I'm just like kind of letting you know, when you come with that place of strength, they're like, oh, okay, babe, you got this. Right? Can you all see how different that is? Okay, Laterica said, it says I joined. Yay! I'll probably just have to refresh something here. We'll figure it out. I can probably see it differently. And like you said, the people you've been hanging out with right here are now joining. These are your sisters, right? So that's just my advice for those of you who often have to talk to your spouse. Go talk to them from a place of strength. If you need to sit down first and make the plan of like, okay, this is how the $100 is going to get paid. This is how I'm doing it. And this is how I'm moving. This is the time I'm going to work on my business. And you then relay that plan, then they're like, okay, right? The same way you decided to go do your graduate program or certificate program or whatever, it's the same way now you're making with your business. Now, I'm not saying that you aren't nervous about it or anything like that, but that's the place of strength. That's how you start to have that conversation from a different place. And honestly, I'm going to tell you what I do. I've never consulted my husband about any of the investments that I've made. I'm not saying y'all got to do that because like I said, but I'm the CEO and I'm in charge of my business. So if I make this investment, it's my job to pay for it and to still pay the bills that I'm responsible for in my home. So I never go to him because I know my husband has all these opinions about different things. But as he started to see me get results, he's like, oh, I might have to think about that differently. And I'm like, yeah. So we sometimes have people in our lives. It's not that they're negative, but they sometimes don't understand the impact of like you getting your first subscriber, right? And they're like, look, somebody signed up and got my free thing. Like someone said, this is something that I wanted, that even your free thing, right? And we know the significance of that, so we can cheer you on, right? But sometimes the other folks who aren't, in that space, they might be like, oh yeah, that's nice. Good job. And you're like, no, do you understand how important it is to get that one subscriber? And people say yes, yep. And so, so I just knew like there's certain things you don't understand, or me making an investment of that much. She's like, why are you doing that? Right. But I'm like, you go pay that much for other stuff that you like, right? This is my, and now he's seeing all the fruits of it. He's like, okay, go ahead, baby, go make that money, bring it home to dad. This is the way we play with each other. But yeah, so you all can see, and I'm not saying you got to do what I do, but that's my choice. I'm like, I don't need to consult you. This is my business money that I'm deciding what to do with my business money. And then I'm still making sure that I have the revenue that, the stuff that I pay in the house is taken care of. And that's what I've been doing now for 4 years, or going into the 4th year. Sorry, I have a little lock that's getting in my eye. So, but once again, I stand in my CEO role, right? Because if you were the CEO of a company, like say a traditional company, would you be calling, hey, honey, not saying that we don't consult and get support, whatever. But if you're a leader at your company, they want you to make a decision in the company, not you consulting your aunt and your cousin. They're like, no, we have hired you to do this. And that's the same thing. You are hiring yourself as a CEO to be the leader, right? So that's just some of my advice when you have to talk to a partner. Go into that, be in that CEO, in that place of strength, telling them what the plan is, telling them what you're going to do, right? And say, this is how I'm moving forward. So Marsha said, I found myself being scared to talk to my boyfriend about becoming a business owner because we are on the path to marriage and homeownership, but it was hard for him to change his mindset because he still sees the security in the job I'm back on. Yeah. So, and once again, your job can be, your first investor in your business. So you've heard people like, oh, this is just overbooked, JOB. I don't see jobs that way. I'm like, one, you keep honing your expertise. It's going to allow you to secure you to pay your bills. And then you can take some of that money and invest it in your business, right? So yeah, there's people who are meant to be employees. That's how businesses work. And so they just have different mind frames, right? But once again, our role is to get you into that place where you have that security, or at least on path, right? So there's lots of folks in our community that still are working full time, building their business out. And there's some people that I've had that are just like, they want to stay in their job, but they just want this extra money. One, because it might be fulfillment, or they want to handle an issue, and they use the extra money for whatever they want to do, right? So that's powerful to say, I can decide what I want to do with the revenue that I'm generating. All right. Well, so Rochelle or LaVon, do you have any questions? Because I know everybody else has. And if you're still rolling with us to the end, you're here for a reason. So let me know in the chat, or if you want to come on live, if you have any questions. Or you can say, yes, Aya, and we will touch base with you. But once again, the 20-minute coaching bonus ends in like an hour and 10 minutes or 20 minutes. So last call, either raise your hand, type the question into the chat or the Q&A. And then after that, we're going to wrap it up. I'm sleepy. It'll come tomorrow, drop it in my email like, oh, this is my situation. No, don't do that. I just don't. Make a decision or not. If you got the question, ask now, right? We're on the line, right? Stand and be courageous, right? Don't kind of sneak into my inbox in the DM. Just don't do it, right? Or don't give me the sob story. It's okay. If you can't do it, or this is not your choice to go forward with, it's okay, right? You don't have to justify it or tell me that, no. Because when you do that, I see the excuses that you're making, and I want you to stand powerfully, right? So it bothers me in a certain way. I'm like, oh, I wish the sister would be seeing this, but you didn't hire me to be your coach. So I ain't gonna coach you with not the permission, right? So, if you're going to make this decision, fine. If not, this is not for you, or it's not the time. That's okay too, right? That's okay too. All right, y'all. Well, it looks like our hearts and minds are clear. Congratulations. So I think Malaysia, Laterica, Marsha have joined into our community. And like I said, Jessica Jones. And then some of you that are on here already are in the community. So like Shaniqua that are left, right? You all hung out with me for a lot of hours. So we will be following up with you about how to get your sessions and your official welcome. Like I said, but we didn't plan to do this today. So there were some things we were going to have said that we now just got to get to you all. But yes, join in, come in, say hello in the community. I'll also be sending you a welcome. And we have a number of founding members in there, so they're going to show you some love too. All right. So I'm excited. Thank you for trusting me with you, right, in your business, and having this be in a vehicle in which, once again, you're investing in yourself and your possibilities. So I want to leave you all with this, that power, right? Our motto is power is the ability to create your reality. So go forth and be powerful, sisters. And tomorrow I am doing my free masterclass, right? How I attract 5K plus months in monthly sales while working my business part-time. I'm going to be showing you my real receipts, right? Some of you have seen me do that before. So I got updates, right? So I actually go on PayPal tomorrow and take the screenshot. So you see 2 dates with those real receipts look like. So we'll be talking about that. And I didn't even have this up in front of me. So you got an email earlier kind of detailing some of those things, and I'll send that out again of some of the things we're going to talk about, right? Why sometimes your socialization is the reason why you're not moving forward in business. And it's not about know-how, right? It's not like a know-how that's actually getting in the way, right? So those are the things we're going to cover, and showing you the fastest and simplest path to generating revenue. So I'm going to show you like what we hone in on here at Black Women CEO that you see is helping many of the women in our community generate income, 3 must-haves that you need to get to that 5K plus month, and just how like with your grit, the right support, and the confidence, as you all see, you can do it right the first time, right? You don't have to make some of the mistakes that I made, right? Or even some of the people made before they connected with me, right? That you, even if you're just getting started, you can start strong, right? That you can start strong. And I'm showing you my receipts. So just how I asked the women today to monetarily share, right, the real numbers. I want you to see my real numbers and what has worked out for me, right? And I think that's kind of like the wrap up. So that will be tomorrow at 7:00 p.m. So I encourage you to come back, help another sister rise, invite a sister, right, to tell them to come. So I will see you all tomorrow. And once again, congratulations to the ladies who joined Aya. And for those who may be making the decision tomorrow, because that was when I was planning to formally, like I said in the email, open it up and tell folks about it. You know, that's another opportunity that you can explore. I can't say the bonuses will be available. So that is something for today, just to honor everybody. And I did have some plans. I think something else that to once again honor the leadership for people who are making these decisions to you know, really do the work that you need to do to become a Black woman CEO, right? To step into that. All right, y'all. Well, have a good night, and I will hopefully see many of you tomorrow, and then see some of y'all in the Aya community, because I can go message y'all right now. All right, so this is Quanisha Green signing off, and thank you. And I want to also give a special shout out to Kim Davis, our client relations and operations manager. She didn't know I was going to do this, so she has dedicated a lot of time behind the scenes and sometimes in front of the scene. Y'all have been seeing her to Black Women CEO, believing in what we do, believing in me, right? And then her being an alumni and client too, she's seen these things work for her. So one, I want to thank Kim again for letting me honor her and spending the time to share her story and, you know, pour into all of you. And then also this support work that she does. She does a whole lot, y'all. And I just wanted to acknowledge that, even being on here, like an hour and a half more than we thought, right? She has babies and things to tend to. So I just wanted to publicly say thank you, Kim Davis, for ride or dying with me and also being of service to the women here. So yes, I just want to say that, right? Maybe I got to pay you in equity, right? Like, like Beyonce say, pay me in equity. So we may be changing our conversation a little bit so you get some equity. All right, y'all. So that's officially my goodbye. Have a good night. Peace and love. And I will see you all soon. Right. Bye.